A new clue. 49554 After Ling Chen came out from the virtual world, the people who had been incredibly worried about him for the past month were finally able to relax. If it wasn't for the purple moon god ceiling formation that sounded quite fearsome, Ling Chen would have used a vanishing shadow to go back and have a look to see how the three moon goddesses reacted after regaining their freedom. It would definitely be quite marvelous. The second day, when Ling Chen logged on, system announcements sounded out, making him feel quite annoyed. Ding! Important warning. Because you have committed unforgivable crimes, the Moon God clan has ordered your arrest. The Moon God clan has already notified the main cities of each of Mystic Moon's continents as well as many powerful clans. As soon as you enter a human main city or a territory of the various clans, they will chase you down and kill you. Ding! Important warning. Ding! Important warning. I say, I'm sure you didn't just take the Moon God Orb, right? They walked over to his side, a strange look on her face. You've been listed as wanted by the Moon God clan, and ever since yesterday, announcements have sounded out in all main cities and large territories ordering your arrest and death every 10 minutes. By now, it has sounded more than 100 times. Also, if any player provides any information on your whereabouts, they'll receive massive rewards, and if they can kill you, the rewards are so great that even I want to kill you. Damn it, the Moon God clan's women are that ruthless. Ling Chen snorted and shrugged. After all, he was their first man, yet they were so desperate to hunt him down and kill him, and they made it so that there was nowhere he could reside. This is the first time such a thing has happened in the Mystic Moon's history. To be able to make the Moon God clan hate you so much, I'm starting to suspect if you violated the three moon goddesses, Faye said as she smirked. Of course, she had only said this casually, and she never would have thought that Ling Chen really did violate all three of them. Ha, ha, ha! Ling Chen smacked his head and dryly laughed. I just took a Moon God Orb. Those women are too stingy, Wait. Ling Chen's smile fainted, and he became pensive as he said, Say, Faye, since the entire Moon God clan is hunting me down, I'm sure they won't stop without killing me, right? In that case, they'll probably send Moon God representatives to guard where I'll most likely be, yes? That's right. Faye nodded as she replied. Then they probably know that the place I'm most likely to appear is Ling Tian City. In that case, are there any evildoer Ling Tian? Pay with your life. As Ling Chen was speaking, a furious young woman's voice sounded out from above. At the same time, an extremely dangerous aura descended, shooting towards Ling Chen. Faye's first reaction was to grab Ling Chen's arm and activate the Lacus's power, teleporting with Ling Chen into the air 50 meters away, looking over to the source of the disturbance. In front of them was a beautiful and angry-looking young woman in a white dress. The moon god-like dress on her body signified that she was a moon god representative, but evidently, she was not the forgotten god representative. She looked about 15 or 16 years old, and she looked quite young still, much too young to be a moon god representative. However, the furious attack from before didn't seem too much weaker than Snow Cherries or the forgotten god representatives. HM? Could she be an apprentice moon god representative? Looks like your worries were not baseless. There's already a moon god representative standing guard here, waiting for you to appear. However, it looks like this little sister is only an apprentice moon god representative. Aya! Even the well-nurtured apprentice moon god representatives, who never come out, have come to kill you. The Moon God clan must incredibly hate you, Faye said with a hint of schadenfreude. Evildoer Ling Tian, hurry up and surrender. Our Moon God clan has started hunting you down in all of the continents. There's no way for you to escape. The little apprentice moon god representative locked onto Ling Chen's new position, her young voice filled with rage. As she spoke, she raised her moon god staff, summoning an intense moon god light towards Ling Chen. Just as Fei was about to grab Ling Chen to dodge, Ling Chen blocked her with his right hand, and a light flashed in his right hand as the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear appeared within it. He swept it towards the moon god light, and as a bang sounded out, the apprentice moon god representative's attack was completely destroyed. Oh! Fei's eyebrows slightly jumped, looking at Ling Chen in surprise. "This cute little sister," Ling Chen said amicably as he placed the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear against his chest. "Even your moon god clan's moon goddesses weren't able to defeat me. How could you, a little and cute moon god representative, beat me? Aren't you afraid that this big evildoer will eat you up?" "Humph. The moon goddesses are the greatest existences in the mystic moon world. How could they be defeated by you? Yesterday, if it wasn't for the trap that made it so that they couldn't move, you would have been punished by them already." The little apprentice moon god representative looked completely furious, her innocent eyes almost shooting out fire. "I've already notified the 3 moon goddesses that you're here. You won't be able to escape." "Is that so? That sounds a bit scary." Ling Chen raised his eyebrows as he turned to Fei and said, "Fei, I'm going to run away. I'll have to leave, so you'll have to ask Shura about the next orb. Take care. I won't be seeing you off. Don't you come back." Fei swiftly replied without even batting an eye. "God damn it." Ling Chen grabbed Fei's round bottom before he turned and rushed off using Broken Shadow. If it was just him, he would not fear the entire moon god clan, much less this apprentice moon god representative, who wasn't even matured yet. However, he had to give consideration to Ling Tian City. If he didn't leave this place, and the moon god clan became desperate, they might redirect their rage onto Ling Tian City. The 3 moon goddesses definitely hated him to their bones, and they even gave the crazy order for the entire moon god clan, all the main cities, and the large clans to hunt him down. It seemed like they would do anything to get him. If they wanted to direct their rage at Ling Tian City with their strength, even he would not be able to protect it. As such, he needed to leave Ling Tian City and go as far away as possible. Fei naturally understood this, so she agreed with his decision to immediately leave. "Don't you run, evildoer Ling Tian. You won't be able to escape even if you run to the edge of the heavens." Seeing Ling Chen disappear in a wisp of smoke, the apprentice moon god representative's body turned into a white light and chased after him. However, with the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear, Ling Chen was much faster than he was before. So how could an apprentice moon god representative catch up to him while he was running at full speed? In just a few moments, he left the little apprentice moon god representative so far behind that she could not even see him anymore. After reaching a safe place, Ling Chen concealed himself and stopped as he muttered, "Looks like there's no way to openly return to Ling Tian City. This is quite a headache. You sullied the moon goddesses, and 3 of them at once at that, which is equivalent to destroying the pride and dignity of the entire moon god clan. How could they not stop at nothing to kill little master? Right now, I want to know how the entire mystic moon world would react if it was made known that an otherworlder violated the 3 moon goddesses. Ha ha ha." Chi Yu's flirtatious voice sounded out in Ling Chen's mind as she spoke evilly. Let's not do that. It wouldn't be good for their reputation," Ling Chen said as he shook his head. "Ha ha ha." Chi Yu continued to laugh, making Ling Chen imagine her large chest rippling as she laughed. Why does it seem so strange to hear little master say that? Ding. At this moment, Ling Chen's communication device sounded out. After looking at it, Ling Chen immediately answered it, and Fei's voice sounded out. "Are you at a safe place now?" Ling Chen felt quite speechless. She's just an apprentice moon god representative who hasn't even grown up yet. How could I be in danger? Not too long after you left, 10 or so moon god representatives appeared above Ling Tian City and chased you in the direction that you left in. However, it looks like I don't need to worry. You were able to casually destroy an apprentice moon god representative's attack. The Shura's power is much more powerful than I expected. From how relaxed you seem, evidently you don't even put the 3 moon goddesses in your eyes anymore. Come to think of it, did you really violate the 3 moon goddesses? Before, they had only been casually joking around, but now, she sounded quite suspicious. As a fellow woman, she could not imagine why else the 3 moon goddesses would be furious to such a degree apart from being violated. Moving out the entire moon god clan and ordering Ling Chen's death across the entire mystic moon world was simply too crazy. A layer of cold sweat instantly appeared on Ling Chen's forehead. It was no wonder that it was said that a woman's instinct was the most terrifying in the world. Ling Chen wiped his cold sweat and awkwardly laughed. Ahaha, you have quite the imagination. Following this, he quickly changed the topic. Also, it's been more than a month since Shura last used the Heaven's Secret's power. She should be able to use it again. So has she been able to find out where the next orb is? She has. I've already asked her. Fei replied. Really? Ling Chen felt incredibly happy. Before he had been sent to the lunar sky hell, the 3 moon goddesses had said that the 3 saint orbs were in vastly different locations. The moon god orb had been in the moon god palace, and it had been obtained by him. The Star God Orb was with the night demon clan, while the sun god orb, according to the 3 moon goddesses, it had been destroyed by the moon god clan using a special method a long time ago, and it no longer existed. Putting aside the question of whether the sun god orb had really been destroyed, Ling Chen had never come across the night demon clan before, and he had no idea where to find them in order to retrieve the Star God Orb. However, Shura had found a clue for the next Lunar Scourge Orb, which made Ling Chen feel delirious with joy. However, the clue is a bit strange. It's a weird bunch of numbers, Fei said unhurriedly. Numbers? What numbers? For 9554. Those 5 numbers were all Shura was able to give me. For 9554. Ling Chen felt quite surprised, feeling that those numbers were quite familiar. For 9554. A year ago, the novice village he had been in was Novice Village 49554, which perfectly matched the numbers that Shura had said. The novice village that cannot be returned to. Have you got an idea? Fei asked as she seemed to detect a change in Ling Chen's emotions. Ling Chen immediately replied, Yes, absolutely. When the Mystic Moon World first opened, my novice village's number was 49,554. Oh, novice village? Does that mean the next Lunar Scourge Orb might be in Novice Village 49554? That's right. That should be it. Ling Chen nodded. Fei, you said that your lachesis can travel through any space. In that case, it should be able to go to a Novice Village, right? Theoretically, yes. But do you know where Novice Village 49554 is? If you know the specific location, then there's naturally no problem. But if you don't, with how big the Mystic Moon World is, even if you give me 100 years, I might not be able to find a random little island. Ling Chen's mouth fell open, feeling speechless. Novice villages were places that were sealed off from the rest of the world, and just the China region alone had more than 100,000 novice villages. These novice villages were all located in different areas around the Mystic Moon World, and the vast majority of them were tiny islands in the ocean. Players were sent to them at random, and they were sent to their corresponding continent when they reached LV10. Who the hell could know the precise location of a novice village? After feeling at a loss for a moment, Ling Chen weakly asked, So, you don't have any way to find it? No, but I'll try to have a look for it. I'll go to my adoptive father's place later and ask. Maybe he'll know, but the chances aren't very high. Fei replied. Also, there's something not too important that I should also mention to you. What is it? When you were sealed into the lunar sky hell, we all obtained citizenship. We reached China a week ago, and we met up with Guya and the others. I heard you're staying at a place called the Bamboo Sea Wonderland, and that the house there is quite big, so it shouldn't be a problem for Yola and I to live there, right? Oh right, Yola and I are in the Suhang city already, so after we've had a look around this heaven on earth, we'll come to find you. It should be within 5 days, so don't be too surprised. Alrighty then, bye. Clack. Fei immediately hung up. Ling Chen held the communication device, spacing out as he stood there. Fei and the others had already arrived in China. What's more, she wanted to live in the Bamboo Sea Wonderland. Of course, Ling Chen was fine with sweet little Yola staying with them, but if Fei came, he wasn't worried about everyone else. But if she ran into Chiyu, Ling Chen's mouth twitched, not daring to think about it anymore. He put away his communication device and shook his head as he closed his eyes, and said to Chiyu, Chiyu, the next orb's location has been determined. If I'm not wrong, it should be at Novice Village 49554 where we met. Novice Village? A tone of deep surprise appeared in Chiyu's voice. Why would it be in such a place? It shouldn't be in a place like that. That's the clue that Shura gave us, so it should be right. Do you know the location of Novice Village 49554 or how to get there? Ling Chen asked. Chiyu fell silent for a while before slowly saying, Your so-called novice villages are havens that have existed for a long time in the mystic moon world, and the ones who lived there were all humans without battle power and weak creatures who enjoyed absolute peace and safety. Afterwards, because of some unknown reason, they became the first places that you otherworlders arrived in, becoming novice villages. These novice villages all have special protective barriers around them, and they cannot be entered or exited from. Afterwards, the village chiefs were given the power to send the otherworlders to the various continents, but returning there from the outside is impossible. The mystic moon world has countless different types of teleport scrolls, but there are none that can take one back to a novice village. This is because no one knows the specific locations of the novice villages, so it's impossible to make teleport scrolls for the novice villages. Moreover, more than 90% of the novice villages are tiny islands, and most of them float around on the ocean, changing their location every few minutes. Let alone being unable to pass through the barrier, just finding their locations is as difficult as scaling the heavens. After all, not only are the mystic moon world's continents extremely large, the ocean is 4 times as big as all of the continents. Chiyu's words caused Ling Chen to deeply frown. The moon god orb being in the moon god palace made Ling Chen think that it was the most difficult orb to obtain. After all, the moon god palace was the place where the strongest powers in the mystic moon world were gathered. On the other hand, Novice Village 49554 was the opposite of the moon god palace. It was one of the weakest places in the entire mystic moon world, making Ling Chen feel quite delighted, thinking that he could easily obtain the orb. However, after hearing Chiyu's words, he realized in shock that the difficulty to obtain this orb would be as difficult. No, even more difficult than obtaining the moon god orb. At the very least, even though the moon god palace was powerful, he had a clear target and location. However, Novice Village 49554, he couldn't even find where it was. Moreover, there definitely weren't any records about it. Wait, Tao Tai? Ling Chen hurriedly asked. What about Tao Tai? Can't it go to and from Novice Village 49554 and the rest of the mystic moon world? I remember it said that I could summon it once when I encountered danger. It indeed said that, but do you know why you can only summon it once? Chiyu asked slowly. Why? Ling Chen asked. Tao Tai is a beast of greed, and it committed grave crimes in the Forgotten Continent before. It was subdued by goddess Fate White Snow, and it was exiled by her to Novice Village 49554 and sealed at the bottom of a deep abyss to watch over the main body of the Lunar Scourge. You can summon it because part of its power is sealed in the Gemini Orb. When you use the Gemini Orb to summon it, it will hear your voice despite being far away in Novice Village 49554, and it will use the remnants of its power in the Gemini Orb to create a clone. Unless the Moon God clan intervenes, its true body will never be able to leave Novice Village 49554. Oh, Ling Chen sighed in disappointment and asked in a low voice, could it be that there's really no one who knows how to get back? Of course there are. Not only that, there's 3 of them, Chi-Yu said in a strange voice, with a hint of schadenfreude. Who are they? Ling Chen immediately asked. Oh, I already hinted at those 3 people just then. With how smart little master is, can't you work out who they are? Ling Chen suddenly realized something as his eyes widened and he stuttered. Those 3 people? Surely they're not the 3 moon goddesses? That's right. It's the 3 moon goddesses who little master used hundreds of techniques to violate in 30 minutes yesterday, Qiu said in her soft voice, but the schadenfreude in her tone couldn't be more evident. Ling Chen. No way. Qiu continued to speak. The reason those islands can exist for tens of thousands of years without being devoured by the ocean is because they weren't formed naturally. They were created by the Moon God clan long ago. Their protective barriers were also set by the Moon God clan, and only the highest authorities in the Moon God clan, the Moon Goddesses, can control these islands. Even Moon God representatives are unable to come into contact with them. As such, if Little Master wants to return to Novice Village 49554, there are 2 methods. The first is to search the Mystic Moon World's ocean. With Little Master's extraordinary luck, perhaps you'll find it within 300 or 400 years. Ling Chen's eyes twitched. The other method is to ask the 3 moon goddesses to send you to Novice Village 49554. Within the entire Mystic Moon World, only they can do such a thing. Apart from these 2 methods, at least within my knowledge, there are no other ways, Qiu said with great certainty. To Ling Chen, using strength to resolve problems was not an issue at all. Even if an orb was at a place even more dangerous than the Moon God Palace, he would be filled with anticipation, and he would not feel worried at all. The most terrifying thing was a situation where strength was completely useless. Qiu had made it very clear. Putting aside the impossible first method, the only way to return to Novice Village 49554 was for the 3 moon goddesses to send him back. There was no other way. Facing this method, Ling Chen felt like coughing up blood. This was because, currently, the 3 moon goddesses would rather agree to any request than a request from him. Yesterday, he had completely enraged the 3 moon goddesses and the entire Moon God clan, resulting in them hunting him down. Asking the 3 moon goddesses to send him to Novice Village 49554? He would simply be dreaming. What should I do then? Do I really have to go beg the 3 moon goddesses? Ling Chen asked, feeling quite depressed. The situation isn't as bad as Little Master thinks. After being taken by Little Master yesterday, maybe they've been conquered by Little Master. Perhaps they've moved out the entire Moon God clan to capture Little Master to pleasure them every day, Qiu said while smiling. Ling Chen was sure that no one in the world would say such a thing apart from Qiu. Ling Chen could only pretend that he hadn't asked, and he stroked his chin as he muttered unhappily. I can't go back to Ling Tian City, and returning to Novice Village 49554 is impossible, since I've obtained the blood of the moon goddesses. What about the soul of the Demon Emperor? Thinking about the soul of the Demon Emperor, Ling Chen's eyes lit up, a new goal in mind. Little Master wants to find the 10 ancient demon beasts. And kill them all? Hearing Ling Chen's words, Qiyu immediately understood what he wanted to do. Ling Chen nodded. Right now, that's the best thing I can do. With my current strength, detecting the ancient demonic beasts and finding them shouldn't be too difficult. It's just a matter of time. Obtaining the Demon Emperor's soul is something I'll need to do sooner or later, and since I can't find the next orb, I might as well take the Demon Emperor's soul now. After dealing with the 10 ancient demon beasts, maybe I'll find more clues about returning to Novice Village 49554. At the same time, with his current strength, killing those ancient demon beasts would be as easy as flipping over his hand. Alright, since Little Master has made his decision, I'll do my best to support you. My soul's power in the Lunar Scourge is about to run out, so I need to go back and sleep. In order to help Little Master, I didn't do any beauty treatments yesterday, and if my skin gets worse, Little Master won't like me anymore. I'll be going back now. If you want me to serve you, I'll take off my clothes, lie on the bed, and wait for Little Master. After leaving behind some provocative words, Qiyu irresponsibly disappeared. Ling Chen was left gnashing his teeth, wanting to log off immediately to rip Qiyu's clothes off and screw her until she blacked out. Lunar, you're the most familiar with darkness power. Xiao Huiyu as well. This time, our goal is to find the Demon Beast Clan's darkness power, so I'll leave that to you. Ling Chen summoned Snow Cherry, Lunar, Kair, Shiling, and Xiao Hui and rushed off. Shattered Moon, July 30th. 3101 was an ordinary day until China's Li Family Financial Group released a statement that shocked the entire world, causing countless countries and people to focus their attention on the Li family. On that day, the Li family used various media outlets to announce to the whole world that they had created an incredibly effective cure to the Izrak disease that could cure it within a day. This news caused unprecedented shock throughout the entire world because if this news was true, hundreds of millions of lives would be saved, and a terrifying nightmare that had plagued the human race for the past 100 years would be eliminated. This medicine was something that the entire human race had desperately dreamed about. However, at the same time, this news was greatly doubted because even though the Li family's enterprises extended into the medicinal industry, their medicinal industry was not very big. There were only 20 or so private hospitals and research centers that belonged to the Li family, and most of them only served the Li family financial group. As such, most people, especially the experts, who had been studying the Izrak disease for tens of years, did not believe that this was something that the Li family could possibly create. However, very soon, one of the foremost research groups used the samples provided by the Li family to conduct a live experiment that was broadcasted to the rest of the world. The experiment was very simple. They chose 10 people who were infected with the Izrak disease, who all consumed the medicine. 10 minutes later, it was found that the Izrak disease within their blood had decreased by more than half, and 20 minutes later, the symptoms of the Izrak disease had completely disappeared from their bodies. The people's faces regained their red, healthy glow, and their minds also recovered considerably. That's right, it only took 20 minutes for those who consumed the medicine to recover. What's more, it seemed like there were no side effects. This was an experiment conducted by one of China's most reputable research groups, and all 10 subjects were cured. After seeing this, the entire world was completely blown away. Those who had been infected with the Izrak disease and had fallen into absolute despair, as well as their family members, burst into tears from joy upon seeing this. The media all over the world fell over each other in their eagerness to report about this century's medicinal miracle. In just 2 days, the news spread across the entire world, and almost everyone knew about it. The name of the Li Family Financial Group also became known across the world, reaching unprecedented heights of fame. Soon, some bitterness began to be spread. As the richest family in China, the Li family would definitely use this super effective medicine to earn a large sum of money. There were at least 300 to 400 million people across the world infected with the Isrock disease, and there would be many more in the future. The Li family financial group would definitely ask for hundreds of thousands of Chinese dollars for a dose, or even millions. Even if they were merciful, it would not be less than $100,000. Now, it was only a matter of time before the Li family financial group became the richest family in the world. However, in just another few days, an even more shocking piece of news appeared. The Li family financial group had started to mass-produce the super-effective Isrock disease medicine, and it was to the point that everyone in the world could be cured. However, because China was a peace-loving and kind country, the Li family should act accordingly, and use this medicine to save everyone who was infected, as opposed to using it as a money-making tool. If they charged high prices for it, many Isrock disease victims would not be able to be cured. As such, the Li family financial group announced that they were going to give out the medicine to the whole world for free. That's right, completely for free. Anyone who was infected only needed their diagnosis to receive a dose of the medicine for free from the Li family financial group's distribution centers all over the world. This time, no one dared to believe their ears. They simply couldn't believe why a financial group, whose sole aim was profits, would do such a selfless thing. No one could believe that such a grand financial group existed in the world. Mass-producing hundreds of millions of super-effective medicine, distributing them to nearly 200 countries, transporting them, and the management process, let alone the cost of researching and developing the medicine. Just the transport alone would cost a massive fortune, and what's more, they were getting nothing back. However, after a week, the Li family's actions proved to the world that this was the truth. When the first person hesitantly came to the distribution center, he was not discriminated against or looked down on. He was instead greeted warmly, and he received the super effective medicine for free. That's right, completely free. And it didn't cost him a single cent or anything else. After the person consumed the medicine, he was fully cured, and he received a new lease on life. From the first day to 2 weeks later, there were thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people who had completely lost hope who were finally cured of the Isrock disease. In front of the Li family's completely selfless and transparent actions, the entire world was shaken. The Li family's name was heard by everyone countless times every day, and the media continuously sung its praises because it had truly saved hundreds of millions of lives. The Li family had allowed the entire human race to get rid of a nightmare that had plagued them for over 100 years. What's more, they had not asked for anything in return. The Li family financial group's name was deeply embedded in the hearts of all of the cured people and their family members' hearts, and the Li family became someone that they were determined to repay for saving their lives. In fact, some people even inscribed Li family on their jewelry and ornaments. There had never been a family who had saved so many lives before, nor any family that had done it so selflessly. As such, the Li family was given incredible amounts of praise and attention, and their reputation and status rose to a position that no one could rival. It was evident what sort of position they would hold in the hearts of those who were cured and how many people would become worshippers of the Li family financial group. It was just that no one knew that the one who had actually mercifully saved the world was a young girl who had not left the Bamboo Sea Wonderland and did not want to come into contact with worldly affairs. When the Li family's name resounded in every corner of the world, they then tossed out more and more explosive news. The Li family had successfully created a near-perfect solar-powered system, a near-perfect environmental purifier, and were currently producing them. If the whole world could use them, the Earth's environment would be greatly improved, and nature would no longer create things like the Isrock disease for revenge. Following this, the Li family financial group started broadcasting experiments, completely shocking the world's most reputable and famed scientists, If the Li family could really produce the things displayed, the entire world would be changed by the Li family. Northwest of the Forgotten Continent, beneath the Fire Cloud Mountain. This was a desolate area, and no people or plants could be seen. The ground was a dark red color, and it gave off a scorching air, the temperature terrifyingly hot. Even though it was not as bad as the lava purgatory, it was not a place that normal creatures could safely enter. In front was a massive, weirdly shaped rock. Ling Chen stopped walking and slightly raised his eyebrows as he calmly said, "Flame demon beast, come out." As Ling Chen spoke, his surroundings became deathly silent, following which a hot gale blew out, bringing with it ear-piercing laughter. Hee-hey! As the ghastly laughter sounded out, a gale brought with it intense flames that spiraled in front of Ling Chen, forming a terrifying, fiery figure. Seeing this human, its laughter became even more arrogant. Ha ha ha! Who would have thought that a tiny human would go through all of this trouble to seek his own death by calling on a demon who hasn't left this place for 10,000 years? You were even able to call out my name. Looks like my great name hasn't been forgotten. Ha ha ha. That's right. This demon is one of the Demon Emperor's 10 ancient demon beasts, the Flame Demon Beast. Did you come here to become this demon servant? Not at all. Ling Chen shook his head, a harmless smile on his face. He raised his right hand and flashed 5 hook-like black jades. I'm here to send you to see your companions. The Forgotten Continent doesn't quite suit you. Seeing the 5 demon jade hooks in Ling Chen's hand, the flames on the flame demon beast's body started to violently twist and turn, and its face became savage. War, darkness, ice, tyrant, light, those are their demon jade hooks. Why do you have them? What did you do to them? Ling Chen grinned. What do you think? No. Impossible. Impossible. The flame demon beast uncontrollably roared, its crimson flames flaring up to more than 10 meters high. Impossible. You're just a tiny human. How could you? How could you? Whether I can or not will be evident to you soon. Ling Chen flipped his hand, and the demon jade hooks disappeared, replaced by the Shura Emperor's sword and the Lunar Scourge divine spear. At the same time, he activated Burning Hard Blood Massacre and Heavenly Judgment Demonic Flames. Dark clouds instantly rolled out across the sky, causing the silent air to become berserk as it was filled with a cruel and violent aura. A faint scent of blood and gore filled the region they were in, and the Shura's power was like a wild gale, rushing around, completely dispelling the flame demon beast's powerful aura. SS Shura! After countless generations had passed, most creatures had forgotten about the Shura, but the flame demon beast, which had existed 10,000 years ago, would never forget the terrifying Shura. When the blood-red flames burst forth around Ling Chen's body, its pupils contracted, and when the Shura's power locked onto it, it was finally certain what power it was. In that instant, boundless terror filled its mind. Impossible. The Shura is dead. How could it be the Shura? Impossible. The flame demon beast uncontrollably trembled as it retreated, the flames around its body chaotically moving around. It was the powerful flame demon beast, and it normally looked down on all creatures, but in front of the Shura's power, it only felt boundless fear. It did not have even a single thought about retaliating, and it almost couldn't control its body because of how badly it was trembling. Arg! It did not beg for mercy because it knew that Shuras were the most merciless beings. Begging for mercy from a Shura was incredibly stupid and laughable. The flame demon beast howled as a ball of crimson-black flames that was about 10 meters wide shot towards Ling Chen, while it rushed off in the opposite direction. Ha ha, the same reaction as when I killed the light demon beast. Ling Chen coldly laughed and raised the Shura Emperor's sword and Lunar Scourge divine spear. Shattered moon! A moonlight-like power gathered at the spearhead of the lunar scourge divine spear, and then shot out in a ray of light towards the escaping flame demon beast. Boom! The bright moonlight shot into the flame demon beast's back in an instant, bursting into a brilliant glow amidst a splattering of blood. Minus 10,401,728,400. Minus 10,401,728,400. Arga! Under the 8 times pain, as well as the flame demon beast's fear, a scream tore through the air, causing the air to quiver. The might of shattered moon was enough to split the sky and crack open the earth, and adding on peerless, its might was even more devastating. This blow from him in his most powerful state was enough to insta-kill the flame demon beast many times over. The 10 ancient demon beasts that had made him taste despair before were now just like the rabbits he had encountered in the Novice village, noob monsters that could be easily insta-killed. Ling Chen walked over to where the flame demon beast had been destroyed. There, an incredibly deep crater had been formed. Ling Chen jumped into the crater, and by the time he came out, he was holding a jet-black jade hook. Demon jade hook? Flame jade that the flame demon beast carries. It is said that it was given to it by the then demon emperor. Unable to determine what material it is made of and its use. 6 pieces. Ling Chen muttered after putting away the new demon jade hook and summoning Snow Cherry, flying towards the south, because he had just used the Shura's power. If he didn't quickly leave, a large wave of moon god representatives would soon rush over. C. Changing strategies, the demon beast clan's 10 ancient demon beasts were scattered across the forgotten continent, and they were located in the most extreme places suited to their attributes, making them difficult to find. Of course, this was to normal people. With Ling Chen's greatly enhanced senses and Ling Er, who was extremely adept at detecting darkness energy, finding the ancient demon beasts was not too difficult for Ling Chen. 10 days after Ling Chen killed the flame demon beast, he came to a barren expanse of land. "Come out, earth demon beast." The silent barren land was suddenly filled with wind and sand, as an extremely unpleasant laughter sounded out. This laughter filled Ling Chen with rage. "The hell are you laughing for? Why does every ancient demon beast have to laugh before coming out? And so unpleasantly at that. Just go and die." Shura's merciless slash. Shura instant hellish annihilation. Rip. A long crack appeared in the air. At the end of the crack was the earth demon beast that just appeared, as well as 3 purple damage figures that could cause even the sky to tremble. Arghar! The earth demon beast shrieked in despair, after which its body turned into a puff of jet-black smoke. After dispersing, only a jet-black jade hook was left behind. From when it had started laughing to when it had died, only 3 seconds had passed. The poor earth demon beast did not even have a chance to say anything or fully take shape before it had died. The earth demon beast was the second strongest out of the 10 ancient demon beasts, but under Ashura's hand, it was still insta-killed. The arrogant laughter it had released before appearing was like a joke before Ashura. That's number 7. There's still the sky demon beast, rage demon beast, and the wind demon beast. At this speed, it will take me another 2 months. Ling Chen muttered as he picked up the jade hook that the earth demon beast had dropped. Now, it was not an exaggeration at all to say that the powerful 10 ancient demon beasts were like specks of dust in front of Ling Chen. He now rejoiced that he had risked losing his nature back in the lunar sky hell to obtain the Shura's power. Otherwise, he would not have been able to obtain the moon god orb, and he had no idea when he would have been able to defeat these 10 ancient demon beasts. At the very least, it would have been impossible for him to insta-kill them like this. Who should my next target be? Ling Chen stood on the spot and silently thought for a while. Suddenly, he frowned as he looked up and muttered, "No way! They're so fast this time." Just as he finished speaking, white lights flashed in the air as three elegant and peerless beauties in snow-white dresses appeared there. Three sharp killing intents instantly locked onto Ling Chen. "Evildoer Ling Tian, we've finally found you. Don't you think about running?" The woman at the center angrily glared at Ling Chen, holding a moon god bow with three light pink energy arrows already strung and pointing towards Ling Chen. The other two women in white also released their power, instantly creating a barrier to prevent Ling Chen from running. Ling Chen wordlessly looked at the soap bubble-like barrier that they had created. Through Xiao Hui's eye of the Holy Spirit, the three women's identities appeared in his mind. Moon God Representative Moon Cherry, Moon God Representative Jade Flower, Moon God Representative Spirit Heart. Every time Ling Chen used the Shura's power, the powerful aura would be immediately detected by the Moon God clan's people who were nearby. However, this time, they had come much faster than before. The only explanation was that these three Moon God representatives had just so happened to be nearby. Ling Chen replied in exasperation, "Three beautiful Moon God representatives. If you're bored, you should go have a look at some nice mountains, lakes, or places with flowers. Why would you come to barren lands like this? The air and sand here isn't good for your skin, and it might even make you look older. This is especially so for Moon Cherry. You should be the East Ocean continent's new Moon God representative, right? Why would you come to our continent instead of staying in your own? Won't your East Ocean continent's people be incredibly hurt if they found out about this? Humph. Our Moon God clan's first priority right now is to kill you, the demon who violated the three moon goddesses. This time you definitely won't escape." Moon God Representative Moon Cherry said furiously. "So it's like that." Ling Chen raised an eyebrow, feeling more frustrated. "I think you've misunderstood something. I've avoided you all over the past month not because I fear you, but because I'm worried that you beauties won't be so beautiful anymore after fighting. I was able to defeat even your moon goddesses, so aren't you worried that you'll be easily taken down by me? Nonsense! The moon goddesses are the greatest existences in the world. How could they lose to you? That day, all of the sisters clearly saw you use trickery. Otherwise, the moon goddesses would have made you disappear from the world with a single attack. How could a human like you compare himself to the moon goddesses? We're enough to bring judgment on you." Moon God Representative Jade Flower shouted. The words she said were exactly the same as what the other Moon God representatives had said to Ling Chen. In the Moon God representatives' eyes, the moon goddesses were the most glorious existences, and they absolutely did not believe that there could be any existences greater than the moon goddesses. That day, when he had destroyed the pride and dignity of the Moon God clan, they had all believed that it was only because he had used despicable methods to stop them from moving. In terms of strength, how could a human be compared to the supreme moon goddesses? Fudge! Looks like running away each time to avoid hurting them has made them think that I'm afraid of him. Looks like I need to change strategies. Otherwise, being chased down like this isn't something that I can take. After thinking about that, Ling Chen's gaze became dangerous. He narrowed his eyes and licked his lips as he swept his gaze across the faces of the three Moon God representatives and lewdly smiled as he said, "Since your Moon God clan has repeatedly delivered beauties to me, if I don't accept you all, I'll be letting you down. Die, you demon." Ling Chen's words caused the three Moon God representatives to become completely enraged. Moon God Representative Moon Cherry shot out the arrows from her Moon God bow, which flew precisely towards Ling Chen's head. Moon God Representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart also acted, their bodies flashing with light as two 3-meter-long Moon God spears quickly condensed above Ling Chen and shot down towards him. Facing this combined attack from the three Moon God representatives, Ling Chen only smirked, showing no signs of evading. Before the Moon God spears and Moon God arrows could come close to him, he used the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear to easily destroy them. Following this, as the three moon god representatives watched on in shock, he activated Broken Shadow, rushed forwards, and past the three moon god representatives like a wild gale. Following this, he stretched out his hands and slapped his hands on moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart's round bottoms. Paw! Paw! These two slaps sounded extremely crisp and clear. Ah! You? These slaps caused moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart to cry out. They, moon god representatives, who no one had ever dared to offend before, just had their bottoms slapped by a human. Their hearts were instantly filled with fury, indignation, and humiliation, causing tears to almost fall out of their eyes. Ling Chen, who had rushed behind them, rubbed his hands together in a pleased manner before bringing them to his nose and smelling them, as if he felt intoxicated by the smell on them. Hee, as expected from moon god representatives' bottoms, the texture is just great. You demon, I'll kill you. The furious moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart almost lost their minds from the humiliation. They summoned their weapons and charged towards Ling Chen. However, no matter how terrifying they seemed in Ling Chen's eyes, they were just like harmless little lambs. He easily dodged their attacks and then casually grabbed backwards with his hands, grabbing onto their round and perky breasts. At the same time, he vigorously squeezed, filling his hands with a soft feeling. He then rushed towards moon god representative Moon Cherry, rushing by her body without touching her. At the very least, she did not feel anything. Ah! Two cries once again sounded out. Moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart simultaneously covered their breasts, their faces completely pink. Moon god representative Moon Cherry, who had not been assaulted, was so furious that her face was bright red. She turned and pointed her moon god bow towards Ling Chen, angrily yelling, "Evildoer Ling Tian, we definitely won't forgive you." Really? Hee hey. Facing her yells, Ling Chen instead laughed, lasciviously eyeing her body, sweeping his gaze up and down, as if he was looking at a beautiful, naked woman. Moon Cherry, why your clothes? Moon god representative Jade Flower weakly said behind her. At this moment, a breeze blew over, and moon god representative Moon Cherry felt a slight chilliness. She looked down, and instantly, a scream almost shattered every eardrum in the vicinity. Ahoy! Currently, moon god representative Moon Cherry's body was completely uncovered, revealing her snow-white skin, her soft breasts, and her slim, long legs. All of them were completely displayed to Ling Chen. Apart from the moon god bow in her hands, there was nothing covering her at all. As she cried out, moon god representative Moon Cherry looked like a little deer that had been given a great fright, and she hurriedly wrapped her arms around her breasts, covering her exposed peaks. She tightly pressed her legs against each other, as a red glow appeared on her skin. She quickly tried to summon her equipment to cover her, but in her terror, she suddenly found that there was nothing left on her apart from the moon god bow, not even her storage ring. Hee, moon god representatives are indeed moon god representatives. This skin, this figure, those breasts, hee, exquisite. You're not even too far behind those moon goddesses. As Ling Chen spoke, he raised the communication device on his right wrist. Just then, I took some photos, and the quality's quite good. Do you want to appreciate your naked body yourself? Oh right, I also recorded the massive battle I had with your three moon goddesses. Do you want a copy as a souvenir? The more the merrier, eh? The approaching international mock battles, as a moon god representative that controlled the order of an entire continent, there were very few people in the entire continent who even dared to meet moon god representative Moon Cherry's gaze. When had she ever been treated like this before? Shock, fury, humiliation, helplessness, and pitifulness. The current moon god representative Moon Cherry did not have any of the majesty that a moon god representative did, and she instead seemed like a normal young woman. However, the only difference was that, as a powerful and noble moon god representative, she had to fight back the tears of weakness. Moon Cherry! Moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart quickly rushed over, standing in front of moon god representative Moon Cherry. Despite their brave front, the moon god weapons in their hands slightly trembled. Just then, Ling Chen had not held back when grabbing their chests, and even now, there was a numb feeling on their breasts, and their humiliation assaulted their minds. Moon god representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart had never thought that they would ever be bullied like this by a man. In their hearts, the strongest hatred and killing intent they had ever experienced started to grow, causing their chests to heave. However, the man in front of them could easily destroy their attacks, and his movements were incredibly fast. In just a few bouts, they were sufficiently convinced of how much stronger Ling Chen was. In front of him, their power could not take a single blow. Ling Chen! You'll definitely suffer the cruelest punishment. Moon God Representative Moon Cherry shrank back behind Moon God Representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart and bit her pink lips as she angrily yelled. Hee, is that so? Ling Chen grinned. I've heard the 3 moon goddesses say similar things to me, but I, this big evildoer, have been wandering around the Forgotten Continent for more than a month, but I've been completely fine. After saying this, Ling Chen's eyes flashed, and the lunar scourge released a weak silver light. Moon Shadow! As Moon Shadow's light was released, the 3 moon god representatives, who were unable to react in time at all, were frozen in place. Ling Chen's body flashed over to the completely naked moon god representative Moon Cherry, and didn't hesitate as he stretched out his left hand and grabbed a handful of white flesh. As he squeezed, the white flesh filled his hand, while his other hand stretched in between her tightly closed legs. When he pulled it out, there was a transparent liquid on his fingers. Ling Chen slowly wiped the liquid on moon god representative Moon Cherry's lips, an evil light dancing in his eyes. Go back and tell your sisters that they can come find me at any time if they want to enjoy this sort of treatment. I won't disappoint them, he. Ling Chen grinned and tightly squeezed with his left hand, her flesh almost spilling out of his hand. After that, Ling Chen finally let go and turned around, flying away like a flash of lightning and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Moon Shadow's effects ended, and Moon God Representative Moon Cherry's breast, which no longer had Ling Chen's evil hand on it, sprang back into shape, and it had a red handprint on it. Moon God Representative Moon Cherry desperately held back the tears in her eyes, her arms wrapped around her chest. Her matchlessly beautiful face alternated between pinkness and whiteness, feeling so humiliated and enraged that she could not utter a single word. Moon God Representatives Jade Flower and Spirit Heart also stood still instead of chasing after Ling Chen. After experiencing how powerful and evil he could be, they did not have the courage to chase after him any longer because they would simply be seeking humiliation. After Broken Shadow effects ended, Ling Chen slowed down and turned around, but he did not detect the 3 moon god representatives chasing after him. Ling Chen smiled in satisfaction and smelled the remaining smell on his fingers. This time, they probably won't be stupid enough to deliver themselves into my hands again, Why do I feel a bit disappointed? Come to think of it, how great would it be to have a few beautiful celestial-like moon god representative little sisters to play with every day? Everything went as Ling Chen expected. No, even better than he had expected. In the next month, Ling Chen was no longer chased down by the Moon God clan. Not even a trace of the Moon Ladies, apprentice Moon God representatives, and Moon God representatives who had been searching for him could be found. Ling Chen even released the Shura's aura a few times on purpose and waited for a while, but no moon god representatives appeared. During that month, Ling Chen found the Wind Demon Beast and the Rage Demon Beast and insta-killed both of them. In his most powerful state, anyone could feel his fiendish Shura's aura from 100 kilometers away, but no one from the Moon God clan appeared. This caused Ling Chen to feel quite strange. During this period of time, the two names that the world paid the most attention to were the Li Family Financial Group and Ling Tian City. Moreover, the Li Family Financial Group was linked in countless ways to Ling Tian City, causing both of them to become incredibly famed and powerful figures in both the real and virtual worlds. Yuan Meng Xian and Li Xiaoshui both became people who the world paid great attention to, and they were reported on by countless media outlets. In fact, many media outlets started to boldly announce that China's time had come. After obtaining the Rage Demon Beast and Wind Demon Beast's Demon Jade Hooks, Ling Chen now had 9 Demon Jade Hooks, which was even faster than he had expected. As long as he could find the Sky Demon Beast and obtain the final Demon Jade Hook, he would be able to go to the Underworld Blood Lake to summon the Demon Emperor's soul. Ding! World announcement. Because 100 million players worldwide have reached LV70, the world boundaries have been opened. Now, all barriers around the various regions have been removed. Anyone who has more than 1,000 fame can go to other continents. However, if a player dies in another continent, they will receive double the death penalties and will be sent back to their own continent's main city, and they will not be able to travel to another continent within 2 weeks. Ding! In 2 months, the Mystic Moon World's first international mock battles will be held at the Central Island in the Mystic Moon Ocean. All regions are required to make registration preparations. Each region can send 6 people at most to fight. There are individual battles and group battles. Further details will be provided in future. The system announcement rang loud and clear throughout the entire Mystic Moon world, instantly attracting all players' attention. The world boundaries were finally being opened, and the much-anticipated international mock battles were going to formally begin in 2 months. The player world once again became lively and bustling. The world boundaries being open meant that disputes in the real world could be settled with international wars, and one of the virtual world's biggest meetings was about to take place. The world boundaries being open means that many ambitious countries will set their eyes on Ling Tian City. If I were them, I would definitely ally together in order to suppress it and conquer it before it can develop. Otherwise, by the time Ling Tian City has fully developed and adding on the fact that the China region is becoming stronger, they won't have a chance. Ling Chen muttered and narrowed his eyes as he comfortably lay next to an ancient tree. He occasionally took in long and short breaths, and he would lightly inhale. Lunar lovably lay between his legs, blinking with her pure eyes, her head moving in sync with Ling Chen's breathing. As for the international mock battles, that's not interesting at all. Since Faye's interested, she can go and participate. She'll be enough to sweep away everyone else. Ling Chen's body lightly spasmed, and he hurriedly stretched out his hand and put it against Lunar's head and tilted his body back. After a while, he finally exhaled. Phew, all right, Lunar, we'll stop playing the game for today. We should go and find the Sky Demon Beast. Hearing his words, Lunar obediently floated up, her innocent, jet-black eyes filled with more and more infatuation towards him. A bit of white, hot liquid dribbled out of her cherry petal-like lips, but she immediately stretched out her little pink tongue, licking it up. The Sky Demon Beast was the strongest out of the 10 demon beasts, but Ling Chen held absolute certainty in defeating it. The only issue was finding it. The Sky Demon Beast's power was more focused on physical attacks, so its darkness aura was not as strong. Adding on the fact that it was purposefully hiding, finding it would be much harder than finding the other 9 ancient demon beasts. That's right, Qiyu said that the 10 ancient demon beasts would gather once every 100 years, but with all the changes that have happened in the past 100 years, how do they know exactly where and when to meet up? Before, the ice demon beast went to the west to find the tyrant demon beast to tell it about me having the lunar scourge. How did it know where the tyrant demon beast was? Could it be that they have a special way of sensing each other? Ling Chen thought for a while, and squatted down, taking out the 9 demon jade hooks. He placed them on the ground and silently stared at them for a while. At this moment, Xiao Hui suddenly ran over and picked up one of the demon jade hooks with his mouth. Xiao Hui! Ling Chen raised his head in surprise and carefully observed Xiao Hui's actions. This sort of reaction from Xiao Hui most likely meant that he had detected something with his peerless senses. Xiao Hui moved the demon jade hook forwards, and when he put it down, the inside curve was pressed against the back of another demon jade hook. Following this, Xiao Hui picked up another jade hook and placed it behind the first one, and he repeated this. Soon, Xiao Hui had ordered the demon jade hooks in a circle, with a gap missing for the final demon jade hook. What's this? As Ling Chen stared on in surprise and curiosity, the circle of demon jade hooks suddenly lit up with a faint black light, and it started to slowly move. It stopped after making 2 rotations, and the black light disappeared with the empty space pointing towards the southeast. Xiao Hui ran over to the gap and barked towards the southeast. Ling Chen's eyes immediately lit up. How could he not understand what this meant? He quickly picked up the demon jade hooks, summoned Snow Cherry, and hugged Ling'er as he sped towards the southeast. The 3 moon goddesses counterattack 7 days later. Ling Chen reached the southeast of the Forgotten Continent, a place that was covered with mountains, had rugged terrain, and had overgrown land. The places where the ancient demon beasts had resided were devoid of any civilization in the surrounding 100 kilometers, and after finding this sort of place, Ling Chen was able to slightly relax. This meant that he was getting closer to the location of the final ancient demon beast. It should be near here. Ling'er, can you sense the origins of the darkness aura? Ling Chen asked as he looked around from the peak of the small mountain that he was on. There was a faint darkness aura around here, and it was an evil aura that belonged to the demon beast clan. The sky demon beast was definitely hiding around here. A cold, evil breeze blew over, and Ling'er subconsciously hugged the doll in her arms tightly, her dark eyes looking forwards before pointing downwards. There! Looking down to where Ling'er had pointed to, Ling Chen could see a steep cliff that was tens of meters wide. There, the cliff split the land into 2, creating a gap that was difficult to cross. Are you saying it is below the cliff? Ling Chen asked. The ancient demon beasts like dark places, and the abyss was completely dark, making it a good place for the sky demon beast to reside. Ling'er stared ahead for a while before replying. All right, let's go Snow Cherry. After flying at an extreme speed for 2 minutes, Snow Cherry stopped beside the cliff. Ling Chen looked down and could only see darkness. He could not see the bottom at all. However, he could smell an incredibly dense darkness aura. Ling Chen grinned. I've finally found you, the last ancient demon beast. Now that he was going to have all 10 demon jade hooks, Ling Chen became slightly excited. He lightly breathed in and covered Ling'er's ears as he explosively roared. Sky demon beast, get the hell out here! His roar sounded like a thunderclap in this incredibly peaceful place, causing the surrounding air to flow away from him. The 10 ancient demon beasts were undoubtedly powerful, but the demon beast darkness power caused their natures to become quite wild and arrogant. Ling Chen was sure that it would definitely appear before him by naming it and yelling at it like this unless it wasn't here. As expected, before Ling Chen's yell had finished echoing, a berserk and fiendish darkness aura rushed up from the depths of the abyss. Following this, a dark fog quickly condensed in front of Ling Chen, revealing a demonic figure with 8 pairs of jet black wings holding a demon pitchfork. "Oh! A human!" Seeing Ling Chen, the sky demon beast's fury greatly decreased. Then it wildly laughed. "It was actually a human who dared to call out this demon. Ha ha ha! Silly human, are you here to seek your death? A low-grade being like you isn't even worthy of being this demon's minion." "This design's pretty good." Ling Chen stared at the sky demon beast. He couldn't help but admit that the 8-winged sky demon beast holding a dark pitchfork looked quite cool, making him want to take its things and put it on himself. That sort of equipment was wasted on a demon beast. "Since you're the boss of the 10 ancient demon beasts, I'll give you some face," Ling Chen said. He stretched out his hand and said with a benevolent look on his face, "I'll give you 5 seconds to run away. I definitely won't chase you within those 5 seconds. 1. The sky demon beast stared before unpleasantly and extremely wildly laughing. "Ha ha ha! 2. Ha ha ha! Ignorant and laughable. 3. Human, do you know, 4, who you're talking to? This demon. 5. Ding! A meteor-like light flashed through the sky demon beast's body, causing it to swallow the words it was about to speak and instantly clearing out its HP. The most powerful of the 10 ancient demon beasts, the sky demon beast, also could not take a single blow from a Shura, and it had not even been able to cry out before it died. It turned into a black fog and disappeared from the air above the cliff. "At least say some meaningful last words. What a load of nonsense." Ling Chen curled his lips in disdain and rushed downwards, catching the black jade hook that was falling to the depths of the abyss. Demon Jade Hook? Sky. Seeing the jade hook's name, Ling Chen happily laughed. He held the jade hook firmly in his hand, as if he was afraid that it would vanish, because these demon jade hooks contained his hope in reviving Shura. "Now that I have the 10 demon jade hooks, if I put them together and bathe them in the underworld blood lake's water, I'll be able to summon the demon emperor's soul. I've obtained the moon goddess's blood, and I'm about to retrieve the demon emperor's soul. The Shura's tear is something that I can obtain at any time, and the lunar scourge is only missing the 2 final saint orbs. Rua, wait for me, wait for me. You'll be able to see me and Tian soon." Ling Chen put the hand grasping the demon jade hook against his chest and closed his eyes, as he silently muttered. Now that he had obtained all 10 demon jade hooks, Ling Chen's aim was very clear: head to the underworld's underworld blood lake. Just as he was preparing to move, his eyebrows suddenly twitched, and he paused, looking up into the air. In the next moment, 3 holy white lights appeared above him, revealing 3 beautiful, celestial figures. At the same time, 3 ocean-like waves of moon god power locked onto Ling Chen, causing even him, who possessed the Shura's power, to feel suffocated in that instant. Goddess Fate White Snow, Goddess Order Purple Dress, and Goddess Freedom Blue Heart. Ever since he had savagely toyed with the 3 moon god representatives who had tried to take him down, the moon god clan had stopped trying to hunt him down, and he had not seen any moon god representatives after that. What he did not expect after this period of silence, however, was that the ones to appear before him would be the 3 moon goddesses. After seeing Ling Chen again, the 3 moon goddesses, whose bodies had been tainted and their pride and dignity shattered, were unable to remain calm. Boundless fury caused the surrounding air to become extremely chaotic, and their gazes were so sharp that it was as if they could turn Ling Chen into shreds. "Ling Tian! You big evildoer! We've let you wander around freely for so long, but today's the day of your judgment." Goddess Freedom Blue Heart gnashed her teeth and clenched her fists as she spoke as savagely as she could. "Ling Tian, your crimes cannot be forgiven even with 100 deaths." Purple Dress's words were like ice and bone-piercing knives. "Ahem, wait! Ling Chen hurriedly waved his hands, and said with an innocent tone, "3 beautiful moon goddesses, I won't say anything else, but since we've been so intimate before, and there are still many of my liquids in your bodies, we're not strangers, right? Since we're not strangers, shouldn't we be happy after meeting again? Why must you be so fierce and savage? You, shut your mouth." The freedom goddess White Snow's face became red. Ling Chen's words had uncovered the humiliation in her body and mind, causing even her, who was normally cool and level-headed, to be unable to remain calm. Her chest heaved as she roared, "What do you mean we're not strangers? There will forever be irreconcilable hatred between our moon god clan and you. Ah, all right. Even if we're not so intimate, we're at least friends, right? Even if we're not friends, we can at least be friends with benefits, right?" Ling Chen said with a fearful look. "White Snow, purple dress, what are friends with benefits?" Blue Heart asked. "I don't know, but it's definitely not something good. Blue Heart, this is our only chance. Think about the crimes he's committed. We don't need to show any mercy. Blue Heart, freedom barrier." "Ah, all right, got it." Blue Heart nodded, the atmosphere around her becoming one of determination. She looked down and cried out as an orb of white light condensed around her body and then exploded out, turning into red, yellow, orange, green, blue, indigo, and violet lights, forming a large rainbow that grew bigger and bigger, spreading in all directions. "White Snow, fate barrier." A light similar to the white light from Blue Heart's body condensed around her body. Following this, it exploded like Blue Heart's light, but it turned into 3 similarly sized orbs of light. One remained inside White Snow, while the other 2 flew to Purple Dress and Blue Heart, attaching to them and causing a white layer of light to appear around their skin's surface. At this moment, the rainbow light from Goddess Freedom Blue Heart scattered hundreds of meters away in all directions, then continuously grew. By the time it stopped, it formed a 1-kilometer wide rainbow ball, sealing Ling Chen and the 3 moon goddesses inside. A rainbow barrier? Ling Chen looked around him and indifferently smiled. In this world, there were no barriers that could stop a full-force strike from him. Even if it came from the goddess Freedom, it was useless in front of him. However, after Xiao Hui looked at the rainbow barrier for a while, he started to give unsettled barks. This caused Ling Chen to slightly frown, following which information from Xiao Hui flowed into his mind. Goddess Freedom's absolute wall, rainbow glass barrier, an ultimate sealing barrier from the Goddess Freedom Blue Heart, the Moon God clan's ultimate barrier. It can separate everything inside from anything outside, including light and sound, making it impossible for anything to escape, no matter how powerful the being. It is created from Moon Goddess Blue Heart source energy, and unless Moon Goddess Blue Heart dies, it is impossible to be destroyed or passed through. Moon Goddess Blue Heart can only use it once every 30 years, and every time she uses it, she needs to gather her Freedom Moon Goddess power for at least 1 month. The barrier will last for 6 hours and cannot be removed. Goddess Fate's perfect song, Heavenly Heart Mirror, an ultimate interference skill from the Goddess Fate White Snow. It can be used within the Rainbow Glass Barrier and cast on targets within the Rainbow Glass Barrier. Those who the Heavenly Heart Mirror is casted on will reflect 3 times the damage when attacked, and this condition cannot be affected or cancelled by any other powers. The reflected damage cannot be dodged or reduced. Moon Goddess White Snow can only use it every 300 years, and every time she uses it, she needs to gather her Fate Moon Goddess power for at least 1 month. The effects last for 6 hours and cannot be cancelled. The smile on Ling Chen's face gradually disappeared, and his expression became serious as he started to frown. The perfect counter, Lunar Prison Divine Mirror. The Moon God clan proudly stood at the peak of the mystic moon world for tens of thousands of years, so how could they not have ultimate skills to protect themselves? Only now did Ling Chen realize that they had waited 1 month to find him, and had told the moon god representatives to stop chasing him, because they were preparing to use these extreme skills to lock him down and kill him. It's impossible for you to escape from Blue Heart's barrier, and 6 hours is more than enough for us to kill you. What's more, this barrier is completely separated from the outside world, including the Mystic Moon World's rules, so if you die in this barrier, you'll be unable to revive. Your soul will leave this world and return to your own world, never to enter the Mystic Moon World again. In fact, if we combine our power, we might be able to destroy your soul, causing you to die a true death. Even the Shura from 10,000 years ago wasn't able to force us into such a predicament, because using our most extreme power not only requires us to gather our strength for a long time, but it also damages our life force. However, against an evildoer like you, no matter what price we have to pay, we have to punish you severely. The moon goddess's furious voices reverberated around the rainbow glass barrier. As Ling Chen frowned, he suddenly moved backwards and reached the boundary of the barrier in an instant. He simultaneously activated Burning Heart Blood Massacre and Heavenly Judgment Demonic Flames, his body shining with a powerful light as he sent out a Shura's Merciless Slash with his left hand and Shura Instant Hellish Annihilation with his right hand towards the rainbow glass barrier. Seeing his actions, none of the moon goddesses tried to stop him, and they instead gave an amused smile. The Ling Chen's full-powered strikes in his strongest Shura state were incredibly terrifying, and they could even create gaps in subdimensional spaces. If they landed on a mountain, even an incredibly tall mountain would be smashed into rubble. However, when the Shura Emperor Sword and Lunar Scourge Divine Spear landed on the rainbow glass barrier, an incredibly and abnormally light colliding sound rang out, causing rainbow ripples to appear before Ling Chen's eyes. Following this, the powerful energy completely disappeared. Ding! You have poured incredibly powerful energy into the rainbow glass barrier, so the rainbow glass barrier will last for even longer now. Ling Chen. Blue Heart's ultimate barrier has color, but no form. Because it's formless, it can never be destroyed. The energy that comes into contact with it will be absorbed and converted into the barrier's own power, and the extra energy extends the length of time that the barrier exists for. Even a true god can't leave this barrier, so you should give up. Ling Chen did not attack the barrier anymore, and he turned around while calmly smiling and saying, "Do you really think that you'll be able to take me down with this barrier and a reflective ability? You're too naive." Even though Ling Chen was unable to escape from the barrier, and the 3 moon goddesses were like hedgehogs, making it so that he could not attack them, and could only be attacked, he did not panic at all. Eternal Moon Shadow? It could only last for half an hour, and it would not be of too much help during these 6 hours. Eternal Moon Flare? Ah, these 3 moon goddesses were great beauties, and they had been taken by him before. Making their beautiful, star-like eyes become blind forever was quite the pity. In that case, he could only use Eternal Moon Grief. Even though it would make them permanently forget how to use their powerful moon god power, in this situation, it was his only choice. To be honest, I didn't want to do this. Wouldn't it be great if we could all get along and happily be friends with benefits? It was you who forced me to do this, Ling Chen said with a helpless look as he raised his right wrist and narrowed his eyes. But don't worry. In the future, if anyone bullies, as a man who has been deeply intimate with you, I'll definitely protect you. After saying this, the lunar scourge flashed with a silver light as a light flashed in the air, slowly forming into a bright half-moon. Seeing the half-moon form, Ling Chen smiled, about to release an Eternal Moon Grief. It's a moon! White snow, quick! The 3 moon goddesses looked up at the moon that was forming. As part of the moon god clan, how could they not know what this moon meant? At this moment, an ordinary-looking mirror appeared in White Snow's hands, who pointed it towards the half-moon in the sky. Just as the mirror was pointed at the newly formed half-moon, it suddenly shot out a bright light into the mirror. As light streamed from the moon into the mirror, the half-moon quickly shrank, as if its power was being quickly absorbed by the mirror. In a few moments, the half-moon that had just formed disappeared from the sky. Ding! The lunar scourge's half-moon has been forcefully absorbed by the lunar prison divine mirror and has completely disappeared. A half-moon can no longer be formed today. Ling Chen. Seeing the mirror in moon goddess White Snow's hands, Ling Chen stared for a while, and he deeply frowned. Lunar prison divine mirror. Was this the lunar prison divine mirror that the three moon goddesses had mentioned before? Lunar prison. Did its name mean a prison for the moon? An existence that countered the lunar scourge's moon? White Snow put the lunar prison divine mirror away and said expressionlessly, "In order to release its greatest might, the lunar scourge relies on its moon. In order to prevent the lunar scourge's power from wreaking havoc in the mystic moon world, the mystic moon's moon was moved by our ancestors to a faraway place. However, the lunar scourge still has the ability to create a moon, so our ancestor created this moon prison divine mirror to deal with the lunar scourge's moon." Because of how powerful the lunar scourge was, Ling Chen had neglected an evident problem. Since the lunar scourge was so powerful, how had it been defeated by the moon god clan and sealed away time and time again? In the end, why was all of its power split away from it, and only an empty shell sealed away at the bottom of an abyss? Only now did Ling Chen realize that the moon god clan had been able to defeat the heaven-defying lunar scourge again and again, not because their power had been able to suppress the lunar scourge, but because they possessed a perfect counter to the lunar scourge. Last time, he had been able to succeed in the moon god palace because he had unexpectedly broken out of the lunar sky hell, obtained the moon god orb while the moon god clan was not expecting it, and then used eternal moon shadow. That time, the moon goddesses had been completely unprepared, and perhaps they did not have the lunar prison divine mirror on them. Don't waste any words with him. Attack! Goddess Order Purple Dress spread her arms, and thousands of flashing orbs of light instantly appeared in the sky. All of them were half a meter in diameter, and they shone with lightning-like light and crackled. Following this, as she pointed, the orbs of light flew towards Ling Chen. Now that things had come to this, Ling Chen had no paths of retreat. The only thing he could do now was preserve his own life, because all damage he dealt to the three moon goddesses would be returned to him many times greater. However, if he wanted to escape from this predicament, he had to survive the three moon goddesses' combined attacks for more than 6 hours. No matter how he thought about it, this was simply impossible. The Shura's power was gathered in his attack power, and he was far inferior to these three moon goddesses in terms of defense and HP. Right now, he could not use any attack skills, and even though his HP and defense had greatly increased over time, he would not be able to survive more than 3 rounds of attacks from these three moon goddesses, let alone 6 hours. The destructive orbs of light that covered the sky descended, making it almost impossible for Ling Chen to dodge. Ling Chen frowned and stabbed out with his sword and spear, destroying the orbs that came close while quickly moving, dodging a mass of orbs of light. However, those that passed by him stopped, then came at him from behind. "They're homing?" 8 directions annihilation. Ling Chen roared as a powerful light exploded out from Ling Chen's body, dissipating all of the orbs of light flying towards him. He rushed forwards and arrogantly yelled, "You really think you can trap me and deal with me so easily?" The three moon goddesses simultaneously released their attacks, and berserk moon god power filled the entire barrier. They knew that Ling Chen had the Feng Chen Sex abilities, so he had exceptional movement abilities. They used large AoE destructive attacks to cover the space within the barrier, making it so that no matter how fast and evasive Ling Chen was, he would not be able to dodge the attacks. Moon Shadow. Ding! The Libra Orb's effects have been activated. Moon Shadow, as cooldown time has been reset. Without the moon, Ling Chen could not cast any eternal lunar skills, but he still had his normal lunar skills. The three moon goddesses were caught off guard, and their bodies and attacks froze in place. Ling Chen flashed in front of the three moon goddesses, his Shura Emperor sword and Lunar Scourge Divine Spear raised. However, he simply could not attack because if he did, the damage would be reflected 3 times greater to himself. With the Cancer Orb, he could ignore all defense, but the skill that the three moon goddesses had activated on their bodies did not reduce his damage, but instead reflected it. Ling Chen stood there, facing the most awkward situation he had experienced since entering the Mystic Moon world. He knew that lasting for 6 hours against the three moon goddesses in this restricted space was impossible. Perhaps he would not survive even 10 minutes. In his desperation, he gritted his teeth. Looks like there's only one thing I can do. I must succeed. Moon Shadow's light disappeared and Ling Chen's eyes glinted as he released Moon Grief. Following this, the three moon goddess attacks disappeared and their actions froze. Ling Chen swept his gaze over the three moon goddesses before resting his eyes on Moon Goddess Blue Heart and rushed over, using a true lucky hand on her. As Moon Goddess Blue Heart cried out, all of her clothes and equipment disappeared, her beautiful body exposed. Ling Chen smirked, but he did not have time to appreciate her figure, and the Lunar Scourge flashed as he released a Moon Flare. Ah! Under the intense light, even the three moon goddesses' sight was taken away, causing them to panic for a few moments. Just as the light disappeared, Ling Chen stared into Moon Goddess Blue Heart's eyes. Utter Despair Curse. Ling Chen gathered all of his mental energy and cast his first Feng Chen curse after his mental energy was completely unlocked. His target was Blue Heart, who had just been stripped naked and blinded. Ding! Your Utter Despair Curse has failed. This is the Feng Chen Sex Feng Chen Murdering Heart Curses. Moon Goddess Blue Heart wrapped her arms around her breasts and pinned her legs together as she cried out. Hearing this, Ling Chen became greatly confused. He had stripped her, blinded her, and then used an Utter Despair Curse with his incredibly powerful mental energy, and yet he had failed? No, he had to follow up. Otherwise, he would stand no chance. Ling Chen gritted his teeth as an incredibly strange and colorless light flashed in his eyes, piercing into Moon Goddess Blue Heart's soul. Soul-Stealing Curse. Ding! Your soul-stealing curse has failed. Ding! The Aries Orb S effects have been activated. The soul-stealing curse S negative effects from failing have been nullified. Ling Chen deeply frowned in confusion. He had thought that with his mental energy completely unsealed and adding on the fact that his Shura's power completely suppressed the three moon goddesses, that there would be a very high chance for his Feng Chen curse to take effect. This was even more so with how flustered he had made Blue Heart. However, he had never thought that both the Utter Despair Curse and Soul-Stealing Curse would fail. The Shura's power was indeed quite mighty, and his attack power completely surpassed that of the three moon goddesses. However, apart from attack power, all of his other stats were far below the three moon goddesses, and his overall strength was weaker than any of them. In terms of mental energy, Ling Chen had already stepped into a demigod state. There was no one in the world who had more powerful mental energy than him. However, when the three moon goddesses were born, they already possessed demigod godhood, and even though their mental energies were not stronger than Ling Chen's, and could even be said to be weaker, Ling Chen was only in his 20s, while the three moon goddesses had lived for over 18,000 years. How could their mental states, which they had built up over 18,000 years, be broken through so easily. Adding on the fact that Moon Goddess Blue Heart and Moon Goddess Purple Dress had been affected by Xiao Feng Qin's lovey-lovey curse 1,000 years ago, they created subconscious defenses against the Feng Qin curses. As such, even though Ling Chen had incredibly powerful mental energy, the chances of his Feng Qin curses succeeding against the three moon goddesses were no more than 50%. Even if their minds were in complete chaos, his chances of success were 80% at most. As for the Utter Despair curse and Soul-Stealing curse both failing, there was a reason for that. Ling Chen's luck just then had been quite poor. In Blue Heart's state just then, there was at least a 90% chance of it succeeding, but he just happened to fail. Otherwise, if the Utter Despair curse had succeeded, there would have been a 100% success rate for his Soul-Stealing curse to work against the defenseless Moon Goddess Blue Heart. If Moon Goddess Blue Heart had fallen, then the situation would have been greatly changed. Heart and Cliff, Yama Curse 1. I knew you would use the Feng Qin curses, the most despicable tricks in the world, so we were prepared. This time, don't expect to escape from us. Moon Grief and Moon Flare's effects ended, and the three moon goddesses once again gathered their power, releasing it and combining it into a massive attack that descended towards Ling Chen. In this sealed space, no matter where he ran, he would be hit by the attack. With no other choice, Ling Chen silently sighed and released the war god's power. Disdaining the heavens and scorning the earth, I am emperor. As the three moon goddesses' powerful energy slammed into Ling Chen's body, it was stopped by the layer of light on his body. The Libra Orb's effects were not triggered, so Ling Chen's absolute defense could only last 10 seconds. During those 10 seconds of invincibility, Ling Chen gritted his teeth and rushed up, quickly reaching White Snow and Purple Dress, casting 2 true lucky hands and stripping them as well. You? Calm yourself and don't panic. He won't be able to escape today. As long as we can punish him, we can wash away all of our shame. Even though White Snow's face was slightly red after being stripped, she remained calm. An energy weapon reformed in her hand, and even more powerful moon god power mercilessly blasted towards Ling Chen, shaking the entire space. 3 true lucky hands once again left the three moon goddesses completely naked, and the beautiful scene in front of Ling Chen's eyes was able to make anyone feel dazzled and stunned. However, Ling Chen was in mood to appreciate this. After obtaining the items from True Lucky Hand, Ling Chen took out the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror and frowned as he looked over it, hoping to find a way to release the devoured moon. Seeing Ling Chen hold the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror, the three moon goddesses did not seem flustered at all, and White Snow said, "It's useless. Even if you've obtained the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror, it's absolutely impossible for you to release the moon. This is because the moon's power has been completely scattered after it was devoured, so you can give up." The three moon goddesses did not stop attacking, and when, disdaining the heavens and scorning the earth, I am emperor, was about to run out, Ling Chen's hand holding the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror gripped it tightly before throwing it up into the air. He then smashed the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear upwards into it. Boom! As the Lunar Scourge Divine Spear slammed into the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror, a massive explosion sounded out, and the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror instantly shattered into pieces. A berserk energy then crushed the fragments into dust too small to be seen by the naked eye, causing the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror to completely disappear from the world. Ah! He destroyed the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror. Moon Goddess Blue Heart cried. With his destructive power, it's indeed possible for him. Now that the Lunar Prison Divine Mirror has been destroyed, we definitely can't let him escape. Otherwise, even if we use all of our trump cards, we won't have another chance like today. At this moment, The war god's light around Ling Chen's body finally disappeared. His absolute defense has disappeared. Purple dress, blue heart. Attack with your full strength. The instant, disdaining the heavens and scorning the earth, I am emperor, disappeared. The auras around the three moon goddesses greatly grew, and light of judgment rained down in every inch of the space, covering Ling Chen, who was completely unable to dodge. Boom, boom, boom. Minus 78 million. Minus 96,300,000. Minus 120 million. Ling Chen felt as if he was hit by three incomparably heavy hammers, and he instantly lost more than 90% of his HP. His body was sent flying down like a cannonball, falling into the dark abyss below. A cliff? Don't worry, he won't be able to escape. There are no gaps in the rainbow glass barrier, and even the ground 500 meters down has been locked down. Even if he wants to travel through the earth, it will be impossible, White Snow said calmly. Following which, she rushed down towards the abyss, sending a powerful wave of moon god power out. As the wind howled in his ears, Ling Chen fell hundreds of meters in less than 2 seconds, and then heavily smashed into the bottom of the rainbow glass barrier. Below his feet was flowing rainbow light, the inescapable barrier, telling Ling Chen that it was impossible to even fall to the bottom of this abyss. Ling Chen quickly got up and raised his head, seeing the goddess Fate's merciless tracking attack. He raised his lunar scourge divine spear, sending forth an 8-direction annihilation and dispelling the goddess Fate's power. After his attack and the goddess Fate's attacks collided and disappeared, Ling Chen suddenly stared. On both sides of him were two cliffs that were tens of meters apart, each of which were hundreds of meters tall and extended down to unknown depths. After Ling Chen raised his head and dissipated the goddess Fate's attack, he saw 3 large, crookedly written words. Heart and Cliff! Heart and Cliff! Ling Chen muttered this name to himself and stared, feeling that this name was quite familiar. He was sure that this was the first time he had come to this place, or he would have long since discovered the sky demon beast. However, he was even more sure that this was not the first time that he had come into contact with the name Heart and Cliff, and he was certain that he had heard it from somewhere before. It was just that in his current predicament, where a fatal attack from the moon goddesses could descend at any moment, Ling Chen was unable to focus and remember where he had heard this name before. Crash! As an ear-piercing sound tore through the air, a lightning-like burst of moon god power descended incredibly quickly, and it was to the point that Ling Chen was almost unable to react in time. He leapt up with his body pressed against the cliff, jumping tens of meters high, narrowly dodging the goddess Order's terrifying attack. As he reached the peak of his jump, his hand just so happened to touch the word cliff carved on the cliff face. Clang! The words Heart and Cliff suddenly lit up with a strange light, and an attractive force dragged Ling Chen towards the cliff face, after which he mysteriously disappeared. Oh! Just as Ling Chen was sucked into the cliff, the 3 moon goddesses' faces froze, revealing an extremely strange expression. What's going on? His aura seems to have disappeared. Moon Goddess Blue Heart's body descended and looked around her surroundings, but she could not find Ling Chen. She then closed her eyes, but she could not detect his aura at all. I can't sense him either. Purple Dress also slowly shook her head as she deeply frowned. Blue Heart's barrier is something that cannot be broken through, so it's impossible that he escaped. When he was sent falling down the abyss, he must have used a high-grade concealment technique to hide from us. The Feng Chen sect's concealment abilities are top tier, so it's not impossible to be able to hide from us while our power was locked down on him, White Snow said calmly as she looked down. But no matter how perfect his concealment is, it can't make him disappear. Continue using large AoE attacks around the entire barrier. Even if he can hide, it'll be useless. Okay. Blue Heart nodded and quickly gathered her moon god power. At this moment, Purple Dress suddenly yelled out, "Wait! What is it, Purple Dress?" Blue Heart and White Snow looked over at Purple Dress. Purple Dress did not immediately reply. Rather, she stared at the shoddily written 3 large words. Heart End Cliff. Heart End Cliff, this name. Following Purple Dress's gaze, White Snow also looked at the 3 large words. After looking at it thoughtfully for a moment, she said in shock, "Isn't that where the legends say that the Feng sect's origins are? Could this place be? Our ancestors said that the Feng sect's power was extremely evil, but like our Moon God clan's power, it also comes from the ancient true gods. In terms of strength, it's not any weaker than our Moon God clan's power. It's just that the Feng sect's abilities have extremely high requirements for mental energy, and they cannot be used by normal creatures. As such, as the true gods fell, there were less and less beings that could wield the Feng sect's true power. This Heart End Cliff is something left behind by the ancient true god that created the Feng sect. The Heart End Cliff has always been the Feng sect's most sacred place, and its location has never been disclosed before. Who would have thought that it would be hidden here? No wonder why our Moon God clan has never found it before. Since it's a place left behind by a true god, it might contain the remnant divine soul of a true god. Remember not to destroy the cliff face when attacking." Within the strange attractive force, the scene before Ling Chen's eyes became completely dark. Following this, the attractive force quickly disappeared, and Ling Chen stepped on a cold and hard surface, a faint light in front of him. What's going on? What is this place?" Ling Chen felt quite stunned. He felt as if he had been dragged from one world to another world by a mysterious force. Even the Moon God power that had locked onto him had disappeared. He was in a simple stone room, and it was quite small and completely sealed. The only light was from 2 luminous pearls hanging above, allowing Ling Chen to see around the room. The stone room was quite empty, and apart from the 2 luminous pearls, there was an unnatural-looking stone slab in the center of the room. After looking around, Ling Chen walked over to the stone slab at the center of the room, and it looked like an ordinary stone slab. On the center were 2 small, craggly written words, Feng Chen. Feng Chen. Wait! These 2 words instantly reminded Ling Chen where he had heard of the name Heart End Cliff before. He quickly opened his profession page and looked at the Feng sect leader description. Feng sect leader, you have inherited the previous Feng sect leader Xiao Feng Chen's special profession that originated from the evil ancient sect Feng sect. After becoming the current sect leader, you can freely enter and exit the Feng sect's secret grounds, Heart End Cliff. Heart End Cliff. This was the Heart End Cliff mentioned in the Feng sect leader's description. This place had not originally caught Ling Chen's attention, and he had forgotten about it afterwards. Who would have thought that he would have entered after being sent flying down? No, he had been sucked into this place. He had definitely been sucked into here because of his Feng sect leader profession. However, there was nothing in here, so what could he do here? What was the purpose of this place? Heart End Cliff. Yama cursed too. After silently staring for a while, Ling Chen tried touching the stone slab with his hand, trying to see if there was a secret passage or item beneath it. However, just as his hand was about to touch the stone slab, an ancient voice suddenly sounded in his ears. "Are you sure you want to try?" The voice was incredibly ancient and faint. It seemed to come from the faraway edges of the sky, and it also gave off a mysterious aura. Ling Chen's hand froze above the stone slab and quickly raised his head, calling out, "Who is it?" The ancient voice did not answer him, and it instead continued to say, "For you to be able to enter here is proof that you're the successor of the Feng sect of this generation. However, the Age of Gods has concluded, and it will be difficult for the power that I've left behind to once again shine with glory. If you succeed, when you unleash the Feng Chen sect's ultimate curses, apart from true gods, nothing in this world will be able to escape your control. If you fail, your mind will be greatly damaged, and you may never recover. Are you sure you want to try? What do you mean by trying? Ling Chen quickly looked around, but he was unable to find the source of the voice. However, the ancient voice once again ignored his question, leaving the stone room in silence. Ling Chen finally concluded that this voice was not from someone who was hiding, but the voice of a soul left behind in this soul slab from a long time ago. When someone was about to touch the stone slab, it would automatically speak. If you succeed, when you unleash the Feng Chen sect's ultimate curses, apart from true gods, nothing in this world will be able to escape your control. If you fail, your mind will be greatly damaged. Ling Chen completely ignored the consequences of failing. All of his attention was focused on the fact that if he succeeded, apart from true gods, nothing could escape his control. That's right, everything. Even the incredibly powerful Shura would not be able to say such arrogant words. It was impossible for Ling Chen to tell whether those words were true or not, but they would greatly shock anyone who heard them, who wouldn't want the ability to control everything. Who could resist it? However, just what sort of power was it to dare claim that it could control everything? Ling Chen's heart started to rapidly thump. That's right. Even he had been greatly attracted by those incredibly arrogant and proud words. At the same time, he was currently in the three moon goddesses' barrier and had no paths of retreat. The Shura's incredibly powerful attack power was useless to him, so if he really could obtain the power to control everything, why would he have to feel fearful in his current predicament? This power, could it be the Feng Chen sect's ultimate secret technique? Can it really control everything? Could this be true? Ling Chen muttered to himself in a low voice, his frown becoming deeper and deeper. Looking at the stone slab right in front of him, he only hesitated for a few moments before making his decision and pressing his hand against the stone slab. The instant his hand came into contact with the stone slab, the seeming ordinary stone slab suddenly flashed with a bright light. Suddenly, Ling Chen clearly felt an incredibly substantial wave of energy flow up from the stone slab and go through his arm into his entire body. Finally, it reached his head and crashed into his mind. Ling Chen's mind went blank, and the scene in front of him became completely white. However, Ling Chen's mind was still completely clear. He felt that this was not a mental attack, but rather, an external power was trying to fill his mind with a powerful wave of mental energy. If he could withstand it, this energy would be his to use. However, if his mental energy was not strong enough, and he could not resist this energy, then his mind would explode like a balloon. This energy would explode, and his mind would also be damaged. If the damage was light, he would temporarily lose consciousness, but if it was severe, his mind might dissipate, and he would become a vegetable. Upon realizing this, Ling Chen calmed down. He closed his eyes and calmed himself down, relaxing his body, allowing the energy to flood into his mind. He knew that his mental energy was incomparably powerful after being released by the Shura's power. On Earth, only Faye's mental energy could be compared to his. Compared to normal people, their mental energy was stronger by many times. At the very least, their mental energy had already exceeded the limits of humans, and it had reached the level of gods according to the mad scientist. However, even if what the mad scientist had said about their mental energies reaching the levels of gods was true, that was only their mental energies. Their bodies and strength had not reached such a level. As such, even though Ling Chen and Fei's mental energies had reached the level of gods, because of their bodies' restrictions, they could not manifest the true might of their mental energies. As an analogy, a normal person's mental energy was like a balloon that was blown to the size of a soccer ball. Ling Chen's balloon was the size of a lake, but with Ling Chen's current strength, he was unable to blow that balloon to the size of a lake, wasting most of his power due to his body's limits. However, if a powerful external energy was sent into a normal person, their balloon would explode, while Ling Chen's would expand to its true potential. As Ling Chen calmed down, the wave of energy flooding him became more peaceful. The feeling that his mind was being assaulted gradually disappeared, and his vision and hearing slowly returned to normal. Finally, Ling Chen could only feel a stream of warmth joyously rushing into his body until the light in the stone slab disappeared. This stone slab was from an ancient god clan, and it had existed for tens of thousands of years. However, after the true gods all fell, no one in the Fengchen sect had been able to bear the stone slab's energy, and they were instead overwhelmed by the energy, their minds damaged. Afterwards, less and less people dared to attempt to receive this power, and more Fengchen sect leaders would warn their successors not to touch the stone slab at the heart-end cliff. As for Ling Chen, apart from the impact he felt at the very beginning when he had not expected it, everything went incredibly smoothly. The energy from the stone slab was perfectly absorbed into his mind, becoming part of his mental energy. Ling Chen slowly moved his hand away from the stone slab and opened his eyes, which seemed even deeper, and they flashed with a strange light. Ding! You have successfully accepted the ancient Fengchen sect's inheritance of power. Your sight, hearing, smell, touch, detection abilities, focus, and reaction speed have all been greatly improved. Comprehension plus 80, and you have obtained much greater comprehension of your skills, making it easier for your skills to be leveled up and advanced. Ding! Because of your incredibly high comprehension, you have comprehended the War God ultimate skill, Eternal Battle Soul. Ding! Under the Holy Spirit's gift, SFX, your skill, Eternal Battle Soul, has been raised to LV5, max level. Ding! You have successfully unlocked the advanced Fengchen Murdering Heart Curses, Devastating Beauty Curse, Descending Sovereign Curse, Heart Murdering Soul Executing Curse, Ultimate Sheepy Curse, Body Cleansing Wild Dance Curse. Ding! You can use the Fengchen Forbidden Curse, Soul Stealing Curse, plus 12 times and Soul Killing Curse, plus 6 times. Ding! You have unlocked the Fengchen Ultimate Curse, Yama Curse. The bonus 80 comprehension gave Ling Chen a big fright, and he almost thought that he had heard incorrectly. This was because even with Xiao Hui's powerful Holy Spirit's aura, Ling Chen's current comprehension was only 35, which was already an astronomical figure among players. However, this time, he had received a whole 80 points, making it so that his comprehension was now above 100, and it had reached 115. Just what did a comprehension of 115 mean? Perhaps even peak existences like the Underworld King or Sea Emperor would faint after seeing such a number. In his excitement, Ling Chen opened his skills page and looked at his new abilities. War God Profession, Eternal Battle Soul, current level, LV5 max level. And Ultimate War God skill unlocked by Ling Tian through his incredibly high comprehension, which allows him to release attacks that exceed the limits of the War God's power. Effects. Passive ability, all War God Profession attacks damage plus 50%, and the chances of the effects activating plus 50%. Fengchen Murdering Heart Curses, Devastating Beauty Curse, Advanced Level Fengchen Murdering Heart Curse, cannot be leveled up. It is the upgraded version of the Love Magnet Curse, and it can be cast upon multiple targets within one's field of vision. The targets, both male and female, will view the target as a devastating beauty, and will be filled with love and adoration towards them. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy, and their overall strength. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Maximum number of targets is everyone within the user's vision and detection. Can be used an unlimited number of times. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Descending Sovereign Curse, Advanced Level Function Murdering Heart Curse. Cannot be leveled up. It is the upgraded version of the Deity Curse, and it can be cast upon multiple targets within one's field of vision. The targets will believe anyone chosen to be a descended sovereign, and they will worship the sovereign and obey all orders. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy and their overall strength. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Maximum number of targets is everyone within the user's vision and detection. Can be used an unlimited number of times. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Heart Murdering Soul Executing Curse, Advanced Level Function Murdering Heart Curse. Cannot be leveled up. Can be used on multiple targets within the user's vision or detection. It forcefully stimulates the targets to feel either hopelessly depressed, outrageously joyful, madly hysterical, utterly despairing, or absolutely berserk, and they will maintain that emotion or emotions. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy and their overall strength. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Maximum number of targets is everyone within the user's vision and detection. Can be used an unlimited number of times. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Ultimate Sheepy Curse, Advanced Level Function Murdering Heart Curse. Cannot be leveled up. It is the upgraded version of the We're All Sheep Curse, and it can be cast upon multiple targets within one's field of vision. All targets will think that they are a sheep. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy and their overall strength. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Maximum number of targets is everyone within the user's vision and detection. Can be used an unlimited number of times. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Body Cleansing Wild Dance Curse, Advanced Level Function Murdering Heart Curse. Cannot be leveled up. Can be used on multiple targets within the user's vision or detection, and the targets will take off all of their clothes and start dancing. The success rate is dependent on the difference in strength between the user and target's mental energy and their overall strength. The number of seconds the effect lasts for is equivalent to the user's comprehension stat. Maximum number of targets is everyone within the user's vision and detection. Can be used an unlimited number of times. Costs 10 MP, cooldown time, 100 seconds. Function Forbidden Curse, Yama Curse, Ultimate Function Murdering Heart Curse. Cannot be leveled up. In the legends from the ancient true god times, the being with the greatest mental energy was the Yama King, who looked down on all creatures. The Yama King reaped tens of thousands of souls every day, and the energy of the souls caused his mental energy to become boundless. However, anything in excess can have the opposite intended effect. The Yama King's mental energy became more powerful than he could control, resulting in its scattering, and the Yama King was forever forgotten. Yama's power has become synonymous with the highest level of one's mental energy. Effects can only be used on the user. It madly increases one's own mental energy for a period of time, causing all of the user's function murdering heart curses within the next 10 minutes, including the function forbidden curses, to not have any cooldown times or restrictions, and it causes them to have certain success. Costs 10 MP. After the effects end, the user will lapse into a severe lethargic mental state. Can be used at most level/25 times rounded down. Current number of uses available, March 3rd. Author's note: after killing the 10 ancient demon beasts, Ling Chen's level is LV85. Every corner of the rainbow glass barrier was filled with the 3 moon goddesses' power, but after continuously attacking for a long time, they still could not detect where Ling Chen was. What's going on? He can't pass through the barrier or log off, and he can't leave even if he dies, even if he's concealed. No matter how powerful the technique is, once hit, he'll be revealed. How could this be? Looks like there's only one possibility. Purple Dress stopped attacking, turning her cold gaze to the cliff face that white snow had prohibited them from attacking. Since this place is where the Fengchen sect originated, it shouldn't be as simple as a cliff. There might be another space within that cliff. Ling Tian possesses the Fengchen sect's power, so perhaps he is hidden inside. It seems like there's no other possibility. White Snow and Blue Heart stopped attacking and slowly nodded. Indeed, apart from this explanation, there was no other way of explaining the situation. This was because that cliff face was the only place that they had not attacked, and only by hiding in there would he have been able to avoid them for so long. What should we do, White Snow? Should we destroy the cliff? Blue Heart asked. Even though she did favor the Fengchen sect, the Heart End Cliff was still a place left behind by a true god. The Moon God clan's ancestor had reminded them not to intrude into places left behind by true gods unless it was an absolute necessity, much less destroy them. White Snow did not hesitate and slightly nodded, stretching out her palm towards the cliff face carved with the words Heart End Cliff. We have to get rid of evildoer Ling Tian. If we miss this opportunity today, it will be difficult for us to ever wash away our shame, and our Moon God clan will not be able to rest at ease for fear of his revenge. Even if we have to destroy this place left behind by a true god. Before she finished speaking, a light suddenly flashed above the Heart End Cliff, and a person strangely passed through the cliff face, appearing before them. It was Ling Chen. At this moment, Ling Chen's whole body was filled with a sensation that he wanted to go against the heavens. This was because once he activated the terrifying Yama curse, anyone who was not a true god would fall victim to his Fengchen curses. However, true gods had long since vanished from this world. According to the Mystic Moon World's records, the true gods all died in the ancient times, and even the three moon goddesses had only inherited demigod godhood. In other words, no one in this world could resist his Fengchen curses anymore. Before, there were already very few beings in the world that could threaten him, and now that he had the Yama curse, there was nothing able to stop him from dominating the entire Mystic Moon World. Even the desperate situation that the three moon goddesses had forced him into was not worth mentioning anymore. After coming out from the Heart End Cliff, Ling Chen did not feel even a trace of fear when facing the three moon goddesses again, and he instead dangerously smiled. He widened his eyes as he looked at their naked bodies. He would never tire of this scene. It's Ling Tian! He has come out! Don't waste any words with him. Focus your attacks on him. The three moon goddesses' power once again locked onto Ling Chen. This time, even if Ling Chen once again hid within the Heart End Cliff, they would not hesitate to destroy it. Seeing the moon god power rapidly gathering and covering the sky, Ling Chen slowly smiled as he inwardly sighed in bliss, making the three moon goddesses, who were worshipped by countless creatures, his servants, and turning the entire moon god palace into his harem. No, into his power. This was something that no one had even dared to think about before. That sort of satisfaction would be much greater than defeating the three moon goddesses by many times. However, the fantasy that was even more fantastical than a fantasy was right in front of him. Ho ho ho, ha ha ha. Ling Chen wildly laughed inwardly. As he looked at the three moon goddesses, he thought of the current Fengchen power that he had, and it became even more difficult to not burst out laughing. He spread his arms out and looked up to the sky as he muttered, Yama! Curse! As Ling Chen faintly muttered, he felt a slight explosion within his mind. Following this, he felt his mental energy rapidly grow at an incomprehensible rate, causing his vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch to become incredibly acute. He could even clearly feel the movement of the air and elemental essence, and his thoughts became incredibly clear. The pressure from the three moon goddesses instantly vanished completely, as if he had entered an incredibly mystical world. Ding! You have activated the Feng Chen Forbidden Curse, Yama Curse. In the next 10 minutes, all Feng Chen Murdering Heart curses you use apart from the Yama Curse will have no cooldown time or usage limits, and they will have complete certainty of success. This feeling's simply too wonderful. I feel that even the heavens and earth can't escape my mental energy's control. Ding! Yama Curse, remaining uses 2/3. Ling Chen stretched out his hands, reveling in his current state. Evildoer Ling Tian, will send you to eternal damnation today. The three moon goddesses' furious yells sounded out from the air. After gathering their power, their massive killing blows were about to land. At this moment, Ling Chen raised his head with an extraordinarily evil smile on his face. His gaze fell on the three moon goddesses' beautiful and naked bodies, and after staring for a while, his gaze locked onto white snow. His expression changed as his dark pupils suddenly enlarged, and a strange light that could not be detected by the naked eye rapidly grew before silently rushing towards White Snow's mind. Following this, Ling Chen turned to look at Purple Dress, then Blue Heart. In just 1 second, he had sent formless power into the three moon goddesses' minds. The three moon goddesses simultaneously felt their visions blur, and their pupils uncontrollably dilated. Everything in their vision disappeared and were replaced by a pair of eyes. Ling Chen's eyes. They did not know why Ling Chen's eyes had suddenly filled their vision, and they only felt his eyes giving off an irresistible attractive force, drawing their gazes and minds towards them. They could not look away or even close their eyes. Soon, this sort of feeling spread to their souls, and their powerful mental energies could not resist this strange feeling at all. Following this, they started to feel their vision grow hazy, and their bodies started to feel light as if their bodies had no weight. Only Ling Chen's eyes were left in their eyes and their minds, and it was as if they contained a boundless universe, sucking them in. They felt as if they were being tossed and turned, helplessly floating. Ling Tian! Ling Tian! Ling Tian! The three moon goddesses' eyes lost their focus, and they subconsciously muttered Ling Chen's name. As they muttered, every inch of their souls was filled with Ling Chen's name and image. All they could think about was him. Slowly, all of their negative feelings towards him completely disappeared, and they were replaced by an indescribable sense of closeness and intimacy, a sense of worship and dependence. His figure was much bigger than everyone else's added together to them, and he was more important than their own lives or even the future of the Moon God clan. Even the humiliation they had suffered at his hands became a precious and important memory. Ding! Soul-stealing curse has succeeded. Target White Snow's soul now has your mark imprinted on it, and she will view you as the most important person in her life and will be absolutely obedient. Ding! Soul-stealing curse has succeeded. Target Purple Dress soul now has your mark imprinted on it, and she will view you as the most important person in her life and will be absolutely obedient. Ding! Soul-stealing curse has succeeded. Target Blue Heart soul now has your mark imprinted on it, and she will view you as the most important person in her life and will be absolutely obedient. Ding! Because Yama Curse is activated, you have not used any of the uses of Soul-stealing curse. Number of uses left, 18/20. White Snow, Purple Dress, and Blue Heart, the three moon goddesses standing at the peak of the mystic moon world, had fallen for Ling Chen's soul-stealing curse at the same time and place. The soul-stealing curse was not as cruel as the soul-killing curse, and it did not completely control the victims. Rather, it imprinted the user's mental mark on the target's soul. From now on, the most important thing to the three moon goddesses was no longer the Moon God clan, but Ling Chen. Nothing could ever come close to him or replace him. Come to think of it, ever since Ling Chen had obtained the soul-stealing curse, he had only ever used it on the Moon God clan's people. The first time was on the Cherry Blossom God representative, Snow Cherry. The second was on the Forgotten God representative, Mukai Ling, and this time, he had used it on the 3 moon goddesses. The moon god power that covered the sky and earth disappeared, and the 3 moon goddesses stared at Ling Chen with extremely complicated expressions on their faces. Confusion, haziness, nervousness, guilt, struggle. It was difficult to guess what they were thinking. "Do you still want to kill me?" Ling Chen crossed his arms and raised his face as he smiled, his tone incredibly bright. Looking at them from below, the angle was simply too marvelous, and adding on his extraordinary eyesight, he could see the scenery between their legs perfectly, causing all of the blood within Ling Chen's body to become restless. The high and mighty moon goddesses revealed an expression of fear upon hearing this, and White Snow shook her head and softly said, "No, how could we harm you? Before, I don't know why I would do such a thing. I won't harm you, nor will I allow anyone to harm you," Purple Dress said resolutely. "I wouldn't harm you, Wu. Why would I do such a thing? I simply can't forgive myself, Wu." Blue Heart covered her face, feeling incredibly guilty. Even though they were the 3 moon goddesses, after being affected by the soul-stealing curse, they reacted the same way as the Cherry Blossom God representative and the Forgotten God representative. Ling Chen felt so blissful that he felt as if he would start flying. From now on, he controlled the 3 moon goddesses and the entire moon god clan. Oh my god! Who would dare to think of such a thing? Who could believe such a thing? Who would dare to imagine such a thing? Evil planned while it was still day in China. At another place on Earth, it was completely dark. The creator of Mystic Moon, the largest virtual gaming company in the world, Cosmos Corporation, still had lights on in its headquarters. The Cosmos Corporation's headquarters security was incredibly tight, and many reporters who had been rejected countless times bitterly smiled outside, wanting to enter. Entering this place was even more difficult than entering the presidential building of a country. Only internal staff could enter the Cosmos Corporation's headquarters. After entering the first door, they had to pass through a facial check, fingerprint check, retina check, security card check, and biological systems check. If anyone tried to force their way through, they would immediately be electrocuted. It was more difficult than scaling the heavens for any outsiders to enter. At the very least, no one had succeeded, and those who wanted to bring in dangerous items did not even need to think about it. As such, for the 1 year that Mystic Moon had been released, apart from the internal staff, no one knew where the main servers were, nor did anyone know the daily operations and processes. However, without a doubt, Mystic Moon was incredibly successful, and its current CEO, the godfather of virtual gaming, Arlington Smith, was given extremely high praise. However, Smith had appeared far less than before, and he had only spoken on television once, as if he had put all of his effort into Mystic Moon. The security outside of the Cosmos Corporation's headquarters was incredibly tight and rigorous, and bright lights filled the inside, as did the sound of machinery. The headquarters were quite large, but from the inside, it looked extremely empty. From the first level to the 30th level, there were only around 5 people per level standing in front of a massive screen, controlling various screens, devices, and keyboards. It was just that if anyone came close, they would find their movements extremely stiff and their expressions frozen with no light in their eyes. They looked exactly like robots. If a single person was like this, perhaps it was because of tiredness. However, everyone inside was like this. Within the entire Cosmos Corporation's headquarters, an eerie and strange atmosphere persisted. At 12 a.m., the rarely opened large doors of the 30th floor slowly opened. Behind the doors were 2 short and skinny people with yellowed faces staring at a gigantic screen. both of their hands running over controls. Their gazes did not deviate from the screen at all, and it was as if they had not noticed that the doors had opened and that a person had walked in. Pa! All of the lights on the 30th floor lit up, illuminating the person who had walked in. It was a short and skinny old man whose back was severely hunched. He was wearing a white Chinese-styled garment, and he wore a pair of white-framed glasses. He was so skinny that he looked like he was all skin and bones. This was especially so for his head. He simply looked like a skeleton, but the ancient eyes behind his white-framed glasses gave off a terrifying light like those of a venomous snake's. At the same time, the lights illuminated another elderly man in the hall. He had a head of messy white hair, and his face was quite gaunt. His eyes, which were once full of wisdom and intelligence, were hollow and lifeless. He was tied to a chair, unable to move at all. When the lights turned on, his eyes twitched as he opened them, and after seeing who had walked in, his pupils constricted, revealing an expression of deep fear and rage as he roared in his hoarse voice. "Why you? What have you come for this time?" The hunchbacked old man unpleasantly laughed. He walked with his hands behind his back, his withered body looking like it could be blown over by a gust of wind. "My dear Mr. Smith, I'm very happy to see you again. Have you been well? There are some things I need your help with." No, more accurately speaking, I'm here to give you a big present. In a month, it will be your 80th birthday. That day is truly worthy of celebration. You. What do you want to use me for this time? It's very simple. The hunchbacked old man raised his white-framed glasses, his eyes giving off a glow that even a venomous snake would be fearful of. I want you to make a media announcement telling players all over the world to break the most logons in the Mystic Moon World record for your 80th birthday. I'm sure a smart person like you will understand and do it well, right? No. The hunchbacked old man's words caused a deep uneasiness and fear to grow in Smith's heart. He could feel that there would be terrifying consequences that might doom the entire human race if he really did this. His eyes widened as he desperately shook his head. Keep dreaming. I definitely won't keep working for you. Oh. The hunchbacked old man sinisterly laughed. Looks like you've forgotten about your cute little granddaughter. Since that's the case, I'll help you remember her. Pa. The hunchbacked old man flicked his finger as one of the massive life support systems at the side of the hall opened, and through a layer of glass, a 7-year-old girl with golden hair could be seen. Her eyes were closed as she silently lay there. Only her grandpa knew that she, who had been so lively and spirited, had lain there for more than 1 year. Tina! Seeing the girl in the life support system, tears flowed out of Smith's eyes. He struggled to reach out with his bound right hand towards the girl. However, he immediately closed his eyes. He knew what the mad scientist wanted to do, and he said with great pain and hatred, Give up! This time, no matter how you threaten me, I won't help you anymore. Ayaya, what admirable determination! The hunchbacked old man eerily smiled, as if he did not mind Smith's resistance at all. He glanced at the girl in the life support system and said while smiling, What a poor little fellow! Since your grandpa has abandoned you, there's no point in keeping you here anymore. As the hunchbacked old man gave a horrible, ear-piercing laugh, he flicked out with his finger. Sparks flew from the life support system, causing the sleeping girl to cry out in pain, her little face twisting in discomfort. Hearing that cry, Smith felt as if his heart had been pierced by a blade. He closed his eyes as tears flowed down his elderly face. He clenched his fist, his fingernails digging into his flesh. I'm sorry, Tina. Grandpa loves you the most in the world, but Grandpa can't sacrifice the whole human race for you. I'm sorry, Tina. Grandpa's sorry. Smith's voice was filled with pain and helplessness. If it wasn't for his granddaughter, he would have long since tried to commit suicide over the past year. This time, he simply could not give in again. Hee, this scene is moving to the point that I'm about to laugh. Since you've chosen to abandon your granddaughter, of course I can't disappoint you. However, don't worry, I'll be merciful so that she doesn't die immediately. I'll keep her alive to the day that all living creatures on Earth disappear. Moreover, while she lives here, every cell and nerve of hers will be perfectly stimulated by me, making her feel that death is something that's wonderful. It will be to the point that she will think that hell is heaven. Ha ha ha, hee. The hunchbacked old man wildly laughed. Every sentence he spoke, Smith's face became paler, and by the end, his body started to violently tremble. Following this, the hunchbacked old man flicked his finger. Now, my dear Mr. Smith, have a good listen to your granddaughter's beautiful song, hee. Pa! The hunchbacked old man snapped his fingers, and the life support machine was suddenly filled with berserk electricity. Arg-ha-har! The instant that the electricity appeared, a horrifying shriek came from the girl's mouth. This scream seemed like it came from hell, and it was so horrifying that no one would be able to listen to it. One could only imagine what sort of pain the owner of this voice was in. Smith's face became completely pale. He squeezed his eyes shut, his face twisting until it looked terrifying. The screams persisted, but she had become hoarse. Hearing the voice, Smith felt as if his heart was being torn to pieces, and the scream was so piercing that even the air trembled. No! Stop! Stop it! I'll do it! I'll do anything! Stop torturing my Tina! In just a few seconds, the hellish screams caused Smith's determination to completely crumble. If the one being tortured was himself, even if it was 10 times worse, he would not have given in. However, the one suffering was his innocent and cute granddaughter, who he loved with all his heart. Oh! How can that be? Surely your granddaughter isn't as important as the entire human race. How can you doom the entire human race for your granddaughter? You should know what a catastrophe you're pushing the world into. The hunchbacked old man eerily smiled, his eyes filled with delight and vindictiveness. Stop! Hurry up and stop! I'll do whatever you say. I'll follow your commands. Just stop. I beg you, just stop. Every second he listened to his granddaughter scream. The pain in his heart increased by many times. He desperately struggled and pleaded, falling with the chair right in front of the hunchbacked old man. He rapidly banged his head against the ground, his face covered with tears as he pleaded. Please stop. I'll do whatever you say. Please, my dear Mr. Smith, I'm starting to like you more and more. The hunchbacked old man gave an ugly smile and snapped his fingers, causing the electricity within the life support machine to disappear. The girl finally stopped screaming, and she weakly fell silent again. I hope our cooperation will be just as enjoyable as before. Smith's body was covered with sweat, and he lay on the ground, feeling completely spent. Even though it was not him who had been tortured, he could not take the psychological torture of hearing his granddaughter screaming like that. After a while, he finally said hoarsely, You can turn me into a puppet like them, and make me do anything. So why must you do this? Hee. The hunchbacked old man laughed. Puppets are indeed the most obedient things in the world, but if they're too obedient, they become boring. However, having someone who hates my guts to the point that they want to rip me to shreds while still having to obediently do things that they would rather die than do, making them feel furious, helpless, and despair to the point that they want to die, hee. Do you know what a wonderful feeling that is? Hee, why you? You demon. Madman! Oh, thank you for your praises. I'm indeed the world's greatest madman, hee. Now, you have 24 hours to think about how you can do this perfectly. If you disappoint me, the consequences won't be good. Smith's eyes widened, and his body spasmed before he fainted. The hunchbacked old man turned around, his skeleton-like head slightly raised. The Mystic Moon plan has finally reached its conclusion. In 1 month, it will be the beginning of the end. Even though I wanted to play for a few more years, since King gave the order, I'll have to speed up this poor planet's apocalypse. The hunchbacked old man took a few steps forwards to the people who were controlling the screen. He swept his eyes over the screen, on which there was a big patch of blue, as well as a crescent moon-shaped object on the patch of blue. There were gaps within the crescent moon, and was made up of different colors, looking quite complex. This was evidently a map of the Mystic Moon world. The hunchbacked old man's gaze fell on the region with the darkest color within the crescent moon, speaking in a sinister voice. Forgotten continent? It's that place they call China. This place's overall strength has surpassed all of the other regions by so much, causing the perfect world I created to become unbalanced. It's simply destroying my perfect creation. Since that's the case, I'll personally create a lovable disease and spread it on that region. Returning to the Novice village, the rainbow glass barrier would last for 6 hours, and even if Blue Heart wanted to, even she was unable to remove it. As such, even though Ling Chen had used the soul-stealing curse to leave his mark on their minds, he was still unable to immediately leave the rainbow glass barrier. As such, he could only wait another 6 or so hours until the barrier disappeared. However, if Ling Chen did not make full use of his time with the 3 naked moon goddesses, who would not resist him at all, then he was not a real man. Within those 6 hours, he used 3 minutes to ask the moon goddesses what he wanted to know, started to lay his hands on white snow during the 4th minute, and by the 5th minute, he had sprung on top of her. Compared to last time, when the 3 moon goddesses could not move and he only had 30 minutes, Ling Chen enjoyed himself fully this time. He barely stopped during those 5 hours, and putting aside their moans and embarrassed looks as they united with him, just the thought that the women under him were the high and mighty moon goddesses made Ling Chen so excited that he couldn't stop. When the rainbow glass barrier disappeared, Ling Chen, with his incredibly tough and vigorous body, did not feel tired at all. On the other hand, the 3 moon goddesses' faces were completely red, making them seem less sacred and more enchanting. This world's too wonderful. Ling Chen closed his eyes and raised his face to the sky, spreading out his arms, as if he was trying to hug the sky. Now, he truly felt that he was invincible within the Mystic Moon world. Putting aside his invincible fighting power, even if he was a LV0 normal player, with the 3 moon goddesses protecting him, he could do anything he wanted in the Mystic Moon world. The places that your ancestors created, the novice villages that we arrive at when we first come here, are you able to find them? Ling Chen asked with a smile after muttering to himself. After conquering the 3 moon goddesses, the problem that he had been fretting about could be easily solved. The only way to return to Novice Village 49554 was for the moon goddesses to send him back. This was impossible before, but now it was simpler than simple. Those places were created by our ancestors, and each of them still has our moon god clan's aura. It is quite simple to find their locations. Where do you want to go? White Snow said softly, her gaze no longer filled with hostility, but gentleness and infatuation. Hearing White Snow say this, the last trace of worry in Ling Chen's mind disappeared. In that case, can you send me to Novice Village 49554? Blue Heart immediately replied, Of course we can. Going there will be incredibly simple. But why do you want to go there? Only the weakest creatures exist there, and there's nothing fun there. I want to go there to find something. If you can do it, just send me there, Ling Chen said. Of course, doing this as soon as possible would be for the best. White Snow lightly nodded. All right, since that's what you want, we definitely won't refuse. In that case, do you want us to come with you? That way we'll be able to protect you. No, Ling Chen shook his head. Going by myself will be enough. In this world, Apart from you three working together, there's essentially nothing that can threaten me anymore. That's right. You said before that the Lunar Scourge's Sun God Orb was destroyed by your ancestors using a special method. Is that true? White Snow and Purple Dress looked at each other, and Purple Dress expressionlessly replied, "It's true, though we didn't see it ourselves. However, since this was what our ancestors told us, it should be true." Ling Chen's chest lightly heaved. According to what Chi Yu had said, reviving a person required 4 key ingredients. If he had the other 3 ingredients, the Lunar Scourge with only 12 God Orbs would be sufficient to revive someone. However, that person would lose all of their memories and 3 out of their 5 senses. If he was missing a Saint Orb, the effects would not be as bad, but the revived person would still lose 1/3 of their memories and 1 of their senses. If the Sun God Orb really had been destroyed, then the Lunar Scourge would never be complete, and even if he had all of the other ingredients and the legend about resurrection was really true, Shura would still be missing some of her memories and would lose 1 of her senses. If Shura was missing some memories, her life would not be complete. "Okay, send me to Novice Village 4955 then," Ling Chen said lightly. "All right." The 3 moon goddesses simultaneously closed their eyes and locked onto Novice Village 49554 in a few moments. As they moved their hands, a holy energy covered Ling Chen before disappearing along with him. "Ding! You have arrived at Novice Village 49554. It was an ancient-looking village and had only a few buildings. The roofs were all made from yellowed bricks, and the main bodies of the houses were made from wood, looking quite old. The air was quite fresh and clear, and there was not a single trace of pollution. If one raised their head, they would be able to see a blue sky with scattered clouds, as well as a few birds happily flying over now and then. The system announcement in Ling Chen's ears announced that he had returned to Novice Village 49554. Ling Chen opened his eyes, looked around the familiar village, and then deeply breathed in the fresh air here. As a region separated from the rest of the continents, the air here was incredibly fresh, and this place was a heaven-like existence. The only difference was that the once bustling village that had been filled with players was now exceptionally quiet. Looking around, apart from a few buildings and a few NPCs, there was not a single player. This didn't mean that there were no new players, but that the number of new players entering the novice villages had decreased as less and less new players entered the Mystic Moon world. Currently, China's players would only be placed in the first 5,000 novice villages, and from half a year ago, no new players had been sent to Novice Village 49554. The clue that Shura had given him was only 49,554. And it most likely referred to this novice village. Even though it was only a novice village, it was fairly large, and even with Xiao Hui's help, finding an orb in such a large area would take quite some time. Ling Chen decided to first ask the villagers for any clues. After making up his mind, Ling Chen walked forwards, and not too long after, an elderly but well-built man appeared in his vision. Ling Chen immediately recognized him and walked over. "Hello, village chief. Long time no see." Ling Chen greeted the village chief as he took off his evil god's mask. Even though he had not seen him for a year, he was the first player in the entire world who had left the novice village, so the village chief most likely had an impression of him and might still remember him. "Hello, young man. Oh. After blankly replying, the village chief suddenly came to his senses and stared at Ling Chen. From 6 months ago, new players had stopped being sent to Novice Village 49554, and Ling Chen was evidently not someone from the village. As such, the village chief was quite shocked, and he asked in surprise, "May I ask who you are? Could you be an adventurer from another world? Wait, young man, why do you seem so familiar? Have we met before?" "That's right, we've met before. It was about a year ago, Ling Chen said as he smiled. A year ago? Oh, that's right. You're the first adventurer to walk out of a novice village. The village chief quickly remembered and said excitedly, That's right, it's you. I remember you're called Ling Chen. That's right, Ling Chen. It's my honor that village chief still remembers me after such a long time, Ling Chen said as he smiled. The village chief laughed loudly. How could I not remember you? The first adventurer to walk out of a novice village was actually from my novice village. I was quite proud about that for a long time. Following this, a confused look appeared on his face. I remember that it should be impossible for otherworlders to come back here after they leave for another continent. So how did you come back? Haha, I'm here to find something. Ling Chen did not give a direct answer, and he took off the Moon God Orb from the Lunar Scourge, showing it to the village chief. Village chief, have you seen something that looks similar to this orb in the village? I've come back to look for this. It's very important to me. Oh, what a pretty orb. Its light has a mysteriousness that's hard to describe, the village chief exclaimed after looking at it for a while, before shaking his head. But it's a pity that I've never seen a similar orb before. If I've seen one before, I definitely would have some impression of it. So it's like that. Ling Chen nodded in slight disappointment and put the Moon God Orb away. Since the village chief said that he had not seen it, it was most likely not in the village itself but perhaps in the wilderness region outside of it. However, if it was in the wilderness, finding it would be quite troublesome. Ling Chen did not know just how big this novice village was because when he had left, he had not explored the entire region. Thanks for your time, village chief. I think the thing I'm looking for might be in the wilderness. Oh. The village chief nodded. For you to come back and look for it, it must be very important to you. May the moon goddesses bless you so that you find it soon. I'll also have a look around for you. All right, thank you, village chief. Ling Chen thanked the village chief before preparing to resocket the Moon God Orb into the Lunar Scourge. At this moment, at the northeast of the novice village, the door of an incredibly tattered grass hut was opened as an old man wearing ragged clothing stiffly walked out, giving off a putrid smell. Suddenly, his body paused and he quickly looked around, his dirty hair covering his face as his turbid eyes sharply fell on Ling Chen's body, the Moon God Orb, and the Lunar Scourge. In that moment, his body started to tremble, and he madly cried out and stumbled before rushing at Ling Chen. The strange old man's sudden yell gave the village chief a big fright, and seeing him rush over, the village chief blocked his path to Ling Chen and hurriedly said, "This person's very dangerous. Hurry and leave this place." Back then, when Ling Chen was about to leave the novice village, he had seen a very similar scene. This old man had yelled strangely while charging at him, and back then, he had felt quite afraid because he had casually slapped another player for an astronomical amount of damage, and that had been an incredibly simple attack without using any weapons or skills. That was why the village chief had quickly sent him away back then. However, the current Ling Chen was no longer afraid of anything in the mystic moon world. When the crazy old man's yell sounded out, Ling Chen focused his attention on the old man, and did not move despite the village chief yelling at him to get away. This was because he noticed that as the old man was rushing over, his eyes were staring at the Moon God Orb and the Lunar Scourge. Come to think of it, last time, when he had charged over, Ling Chen had been showing the village chief the Lunar Scourge and asking him if he had seen it before. Could it be that this crazy old man recognized the Lunar Scourge? If he did recognize the Lunar Scourge, he had to have lived for over 10,000 years. After all, even the knowledgeable village chief knew nothing about the Lunar Scourge, so did this crazy old man know about it? If that was the case, why would he react in such an exaggerated way? The crazy old man brought with him a putrid smell. Even though he was incredibly old, He moved like a flash of lightning, moving past the village chief in an instant and springing towards Ling Chen. His hands, which were as dry as tree bark, grabbed onto Ling Chen's right foot and ankle, and it was as if he was afraid of Ling Chen running away. He raised his incredibly dirty face, his eyes staring fixedly at Ling Chen's right wrist. "Lunar Scourge! Lunar Scourge! Lunar Scourge! You, my daughter, my daughter!" The old man's words caused Ling Chen to feel quite shocked. He had evidently called out the name Lunar Scourge. This meant that he knew the Lunar Scourge, and that he had lived for over 10,000 years. Even people like the war god Qi Xian Wu Hin and Xiao Fengchen, peak existences among humans, had only lived for 2,000 to 3,000 years, and that was also the lifespan for moon god representatives. That range was already the limit for humans. Moon goddesses also counted as humans, so from that aspect, the moon goddesses were the only humans that could live for over 10,000 years. What's more, they possessed Saint Destroyer grade power or even surpassed that. But this old man? Was he really more than 10,000 years old? This, hurry up and let go of this young man. He's our village's guest. The crazy old man's actions caused the village chief to feel at a loss as to what to do, and he hurriedly grabbed at the old man's arms, trying to drag him away from Ling Chen. However, he was much weaker than the crazy old man, and even though he used all of his strength, he couldn't make his hands budge even an inch. "Wait, village chief!" Ling Chen shook his head and stretched out his hand, motioning to the village chief. "I don't think he has any ill intent by grabbing onto me. Maybe he even has something important to say to me." As Ling Chen spoke, he suddenly felt a strange sensation from his right wrist. As he looked over, he saw that the Lunar Scourge's 13 orbs were letting out a faint silver light. Ling Chen instantly felt dumbfounded. Because the Lunar Scourge's orbs were reacting, this meant that there was a Lunar Scourge orb nearby. The only thing that had come close to him was this crazy old man who was grabbing onto him. Could it be that this crazy old man had an orb on him? Ling Chen suddenly remembered that Qi Yu had suddenly said that she had detected a saint orb as they were being sent from the Novice village to Azure Dragon City. When she said that, this crazy old man had been leaping towards him. After that, he had been transported from the Novice village to Azure Dragon City. "You recognize the Lunar Scourge?" Ling Chen brought his right wrist closer to this crazy old man, displaying the Lunar Scourge to him fully. Immediately, the old man madly nodded, grabbing onto his right wrist with a steel-like grip as he muttered, "Lunar Scourge! Lunar Scourge, my daughter, can you hear my voice? Oh, my daughter, this, what's going on? I've never seen him like this before," the village chief said in confusion. "Your daughter?" Ling Chen asked in surprise. "My daughter, she's inside. Oh, my daughter. I've searched for you for 10,000 years. 10,000 years. Tears flowed down the crazy old man's face as his grip on Ling Chen's wrist tightened, making Ling Chen feel as if his wrist was going to snap. His daughter was inside the Lunar Scourge? 10,000 years, could it be Qi Yu? This guess caused Ling Chen's heart rate to increase. He frowned and hesitantly asked, "What's your daughter's name? Why would she be in here?" "She's called you, my heir. She doesn't have a body anymore. Her soul was devoured and locked in here. These years, I've continuously searched for her. I've finally found my daughter. 10,000 years, a whole 10,000 years. You, Qi Yu." Ling Chen's heart started to tremble. When he had first met Qi Yu, she had told him that she had no body, that she was only a soul that was attached to the Lunar Scourge, and that her name was Yu. In that case, she was definitely this crazy old man's daughter. This crazy old man was Qi Yu's father. This was a shocking conclusion that Ling Chen had never expected. Since this old man was most likely Chiyu's father, Ling Chen naturally couldn't act violently or rudely towards him. He grabbed the old man's arms and said slowly, "Elderly one, please get up. I won't run away. At the very least, let's talk somewhere else. The lunar scourge has been on me for the past year, so I'll try to answer any questions you have. Perhaps your daughter is the person I know." The crazy old man's body quivered and stared at Ling Chen for a while, before shakily getting up and following Ling Chen. The village chief stared at them as they left, his gaze filled with confusion. By the time Ling Chen stopped walking, they had reached a quiet area with no one else around. The old man, who had remained a few steps behind him, rushed up and his body trembled as he emotionally cried out, "My daughter! Is my daughter in the lunar scourge? Have you met her already?" "Yes, she has to be in there. As long as the lunar scourge doesn't disappear, she won't disappear. Has she been well over the years?" Has she suffered a lot? Does she hate me? Elderly one, don't get too emotional," Ling Chen said calmly as he asked, "Is your daughter's name Chiyu?" You? Hearing this name, the old man paused, then tears started flowed down his face again. You? Chiyu, that's right. Staying for 10,000 years in that dark place without seeing the sun. Who can imagine that sort of bleak pain, and who could stand it? The only thing she's felt over these years is bleak pain. That's why she's called Chiyu. Perhaps she hates her useless father for not being able to save her. Hates me so much that she doesn't want to be called Chiyu but Chiyu, my poor daughter. It's my fault." Tilan. The Chi in Chiyu's name means bleak or mournful, the old man once again started to weep, while Ling Chen felt quite startled. Yiyu? His daughter was called Yiyu? Was this Chiyu's name in the past? Did Chiyu rename herself to that because of the bleak and mournful pain she had felt? Wait. Yiyu? Yi? In the Forgotten Continents Chronicles, the only family with the surname Yi was. Ling Chen quickly summoned Xiao Hui behind him, and used Xiao Hui's Eye of the Holy Spirit to see the crazy old man's information. Yi Wuya, type, Knight Emperor, grade, Saint Destroyer, HP, 32 billion. A male moon god birthed by the previous generation's moon goddess, and his power was weaker than the female moon goddesses. However, he had an unruly and free personality, and he wished for living creatures to be equal instead of there being a hierarchy. He advocated for powerful creatures to be able to join the Moon God clan. Because his ideologies differed too much from the Moon God clan's ideologies, he split away from them and wandered by himself. Afterwards, he established the Xiaoyao sect. Later, his daughter Yi was devoured by the lunar scourge, which greatly needed an item soul. When he finally found a way to save her, the Moon God clan had already destroyed the lunar scourge and sealed its main body into a remote place. He flew into a fit of rage, becoming enemies with the Moon God clan, and he changed the Xiaoyao sect's name into something that went against the Moon God clan's name, the Night Demon clan, becoming the Night Emperor. Tilan. Xiaoyao means free and unfettered. In order to save his daughter, Yiwuya attacked the Moon God clan many times, hoping to force the Moon God clan to tell him the location of the lunar scourge. However, the Night Demon clan's overall strength was far below the Moon God clan's, and after many battles, it was annihilated by the Moon God clan. Afterwards, Yiwuya heard that the lunar scourge was sealed at a remote place, and he spent thousands of years searching for it fruitlessly. Finally, he fell into despair and remained in Novice Village 49554, living crazily and aimlessly. Tilan. Yi means night. Passive abilities. Omitted. Attack skills. Omitted. Weaknesses. Omitted. Even though Ling Chen was somewhat prepared, when the information from Xiao Hui's Eye of the Holy Spirit appeared in his mind, his jaw still dropped, almost spitting out a mouthful of saliva. This incredibly dirty, smelly, and crazy old man, who looked worse than a beggar, was that mysterious Night Demon clan's Night Emperor, a Saint Destroyer grade peak existence. Star God Orb. "You are the Night Emperor," Ling Chen said as he stared at the old man in shock. "Night Emperor?" This name, which the old man had not heard in many millennia, did not evoke any intense emotions from him, and it only caused him to bitterly laugh. "What Night Emperor? The Night Demon clan disbanded long ago, so how can there still be a Night Emperor? I'm just a trash who can't do anything, a trash." Ling Chen's expression rapidly changed. From the information he had received from Xiao Hui, he not only knew who this old man was, but he had also found out about the origins of the Night Demon clan and the dreary and bitter life that the Night Emperor had led. It turned out that the Night Demon clan had been part of the Moon God clan, but its original name had been the Xiaoyao sect and originally had no enmity with the Moon God clan. However, the Lunar Scourge resurfaced and somehow devoured the Night Emperor's daughter, turning her into the Lunar Scourge's item soul. From that timeline, it seemed that this happened right before the Shura's devastation. After the Shura's devastation ended, the Lunar Scourge fell into the three Moon Goddesses' hands. However, the Night Emperor's daughter was within the Lunar Scourge, so he couldn't allow the three Moon Goddesses to destroy the Lunar Scourge no matter what. He desperately looked for a way to save his daughter from the Lunar Scourge, but the three Moon Goddesses evidently weren't very patient, and when the Night Emperor finally found a way to save her, the three Moon Goddesses had split the Lunar Scourge and sealed its main body into a remote place. After finding out about this, the Night Emperor became enemies with the Moon God clan, leading to the birth of the Night Demon clan. However, the Night Demon clan could not defeat the Moon God clan, and after suffering repeated defeats, the Heaven Secret sect, Fengchen sect, and Earth Fiend sect left the Night Demon clan, and the Night Emperor vanished without a trace. For the past thousands of years, he had traveled all over the Mystic Moon world, trying to find the Lunar Scourge. It was just that he had never imagined that Novice Village 49554, where he had remained after falling into despair, was exactly where the Lunar Scourge's main body had been sealed. Chi Yu had said that she had been in the Lunar Scourge for over 10,000 years, which was why she knew about many things from over 10,000 years ago. In that case, she was definitely the person who had been devoured by the Lunar Scourge, the Night Emperor's daughter. It was just that with how Yi Wei currently looked, even if he stood in front of Chi Yu, she definitely wouldn't be able to recognize him, and this was even more so given that they had been separated for 10,000 years. Ling Chen comforted him and said, "Night Emperor, you shouldn't be so pessimistic. If your daughter is the item soul sealed inside the Lunar Scourge, I've already met her. She is doing well." Yi Wei looked incredibly emotional, and he stumbled forwards and grasped Ling Chen's shoulders as he said, Is that true? You've really met my daughter? Where is she?" Right. She's inside the Lunar Scourge. Can you ask her to come out? I want to see her." As he spoke, Yi Wei's voice started to tremble. After looking at him, Ling Chen inwardly sighed. This was the Night Emperor. He was a man with real emotions, and was a truly great father. For his daughter, he had become enemies with the Moon God clan, and had searched for his daughter for thousands of years. For his daughter, he had fallen to such a state. He had incredible power and status, and could do as he wished in the world, but he had given up all of this for his daughter. Even after a whole 10,000 years, he had not forgotten about his role as a father. Even though he was in an extremely sorry state, Ling Chen could not help but admire him. He thought for a moment before saying, "Don't worry, she's definitely doing much better than you think. However, she's not in the Lunar Scourge right now because of some reason. You could say she already has an independent body." "She's not in the Lunar Scourge? She has an independent body. Is this true?" Where is she now? I want to see her. I've wanted to see her for the past 10,000 years. Ling Chen fell silent for a moment and said, Wait here. I'll bring her over. It won't take too long. It'll be 5 minutes at most. All right. I've already waited 10,000 years. Waiting another few minutes is nothing. Yiwuya emotionally nodded. Ling Chen nodded and logged off, disappearing from before Yiwuya. After returning to the real world, Ling Chen immediately headed to Qiyu's room and opened the door, seeing Qiyu pleasantly sleeping on her bed. Her sleeping position was incredibly seductive. He had no idea if it was on purpose or not, but her low-cut top was hanging incredibly low, revealing 2 large and white globes, creating a massive valley as she lay on her side. The instant Ling Chen walked into the room and saw Qiyu, he felt his blood rush up, but he pressed down on his blood and forced his mind to think about other things. He walked over to the bed and woke her up. Qiyu, come with me into the game. There's something incredibly important. Woo! Qiyu, who had been woken up, lazily opened her hazy eyes and said in a soft voice, Doesn't little master know that all beauties need their beauty sleep? Following this, Qiyu gave a long yawn before lazily closing her eyes again. Ling Chen got straight to the point. Was your name Yu before? Is your father called Yiwuya? Qiyu's closed eyes instantly flew open, her sleepiness disappearing. She stared at Ling Chen for a while before asking, You met him? Qiyu's reaction dispelled any doubts that Ling Chen had. He nodded. That's right. I met the Night Emperor Yiwuya, and I was talking to him just then. His greatest wish is to meet his daughter, who had been sealed in the Lunar Scourge. You were sealed in the Lunar Scourge 10,000 years ago, and you're evidently his daughter, Yu. After being separated for so many years, I'm sure you want to see him as well, right? So come with me into the Mystic Moon world. He's waiting for you there. You can be reunited with your father right now. Hearing Ling Chen's words, a complicated light flashed in Qiyu's eyes. However, there was no happiness, excitement, or even sadness in her eyes. Following this, she slowly shook her head. Little master, I won't come with you because I don't want to meet him. Why? Ling Chen was quite surprised towards Qiyu's reply, and he asked in confusion. He's your own father, and after being separated for 10,000 years, don't you want to see him? Qiyu gave a faint sigh, but did not say anything. Ling Chen had no idea what she was thinking. Perhaps you hate him for not being able to save you back then, making you suffer a bleak and miserable pain. The darkness and solitude in the lunar sky hell nearly drove me mad, while what you experienced was 10,000 years of darkness and solitude. You must have suffered indescribable pain, so you must have hated your father, the Moon God clan, or even the entire world. Perhaps you were right in doing so. However, he's your own father, and even though he was one of the successors of the Moon God clan, he became enemies with them for you, and he walked across the entire Mystic Moon world for 10,000 years to find you. Even now, he hasn't given up on finding you. Back then, it wasn't his fault, and even if it was, he has done so much for you, and has held on for 10,000 years. There's really no reason for you not to forgive him. No, it's not that I don't forgive him. Qiyu slowly shook her head and closed her eyes. It's just that the Yi from 10,000 years ago was gentle and mild, and was extremely close with her father, but it has been a whole 10,000 years. During those 10,000 years of darkness and isolation, any creature's personality would be twisted. The current Qiyu is not the Yu from back then. Her personality, nature, and mental state are completely different, and even her feelings towards her father have become indifferent to the point that she does not feel any joy or expectation after hearing about him. This kind of me standing in front of him won't make him feel happy at all, and it will instead make him feel like he's facing a stranger, to give up everything and search the world for 10,000 years to find out that his daughter is like a stranger, That would be an incredibly cruel shock, right? Ling Chen. A faint conflicted look appeared in Chiyu's eyes, but she continued to speak. Even though I can't see him right now, tell him to wait another 3 years, because I need 3 years to reshape my body. My current body can only appear in this world, so I cannot appear in the Mystic Moon world. Perhaps in 3 years, I'll know how to face him. Ling Chen frowned. He couldn't quite understand Chiyu's words, and the final reason seemed incredibly forced, and was more like an excuse not to see the Night Emperor than a real reason. However, Ling Chen had never been able to change Chiyu's mind, and this matter was unrelated to him, so he did not try to convince her. As such, he nodded and returned to his own room. After Ling Chen left, Chiyu did not seem sleepy at all anymore. She sat up from the bed, fixed up her clothes that could barely contain her breasts, and stared outside the window for a while before muttering to herself, "It's better this way. I hope you won't blame me." Ling Chen returned to the game and reappeared before Yi Wuya. Facing his eyes full of hope, Ling Chen could only shake his head. "Apologies, I wasn't able to bring her because she said she can't see you right now." "Can't see me? Can't see me?" Yi Wuya felt incredibly surprised, and his eyes full of hope seemed as if they had been extinguished by a bucket of cold water. He stumbled backwards and said in disappointment, "Why can't she see me? Does she still hate me? Does she hate me for not being able to save her back then, making her suffer so much?" "No." Ling Chen shook his head. "It's not that she doesn't want to see you. It's just that she said that her nature had greatly changed after 10,000 years, and that she's afraid that you'll see her as a stranger. At the same time, she doesn't have a body, so she's afraid that you'll feel sad when seeing her, so she hopes that you can wait for her for 3 years. In 3 years, she'll have a new body and will be able to meet with you." Ling Chen's words caused some light to reappear in Yi Wuya's eyes, and he said dispiritedly, "Is that what she said? 3 years. 3 years, all right. I've already looked for her for 10,000 years. How could I not wait for 3 years? As long as she's willing to see me, let alone 3 years, I'd be willing to wait 300 years, if not 3,000 years." Ling Chen nodded. "Don't worry, after these 10,000 years, her nature has greatly changed, but since she said 3 years, she won't go back on her word. However, you should also use these 3 years to regain your bearing as the Night Emperor. I'm sure you don't want your daughter to see yourself like this when you meet, right?" Yi Wuya looked down at himself and bitterly laughed. That's right, young man, your eyes are incredibly deep, but I can see clarity and sincerity in them. I trust everything you've said. All in all, thank you. Even though I don't know how you obtained the Lunar Scourge and became its master, that's not what I care about. I know that you saved my daughter, and that you've given me a chance to be reunited with my daughter, so I hope that I'll be able to repay you in the future." As he spoke, he slowly stretched out a withered right hand. Within it was an orb with a star engraved on it that had the same size and shape as the Moon God Orb, and it even gave off the same light. "Young man, as someone who inherited the Moon God clan's power, I know that returning to this sort of place for anyone who isn't from the Moon God clan is incredibly difficult. You braved many dangers and difficulties in coming back, and I'm sure you came for this. Since you have the Lunar Scourge, this should belong to you, so I now return it to its proper master. What sort of disasters the Lunar Scourge will bring now that it has resurfaced has nothing to do with me. I just hope that returning the Star God Orb to the Lunar Scourge will help my daughter recreate her body soon."